pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, board, have you had the opportunity to check the minutes out from the previous week? And
I'll move. Excuse me. I'll move that the minutes for the proceedings of the Board of Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado, November 6, 2017, be approved as presented.
Second.
motion second to approve the proceedings of the Board of County Commissioners of Montezuma County for November 6, 2017. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we have a liquor license renewal for Log Cabin Liquors.
She's a little crazy over there where short-handed, so I will text her.
Okay. All right, then let's, James, would you be,
Okay.
are you ready for your weather report?
Oh, yeah. As long as I can be.
Morning, James. I wish you'd get some water in here.
Yeah,
Good morning.
that's a problem.
Thank you.
Yep, our rainfall picture was not a pretty sight for October. This was meant to just go to the 13 month.
This one?
Yeah. As you can see, for October, all of 5/100 of an inch of rain, 4% of normal. So far, November, first half of the month here, I've all recorded 0.01 inches, all of 1% of normal. So yeah, it's been extremely dry. As of last week, we are officially in a La Nina weather pattern, which is commonly associated with warm, dry winters. And our temperatures right now this month are averaging about 10 degrees above normal. Normally our daytime temperature is in the mid-50s, and we're commonly in the mid-60s.
They're showing 68 today.
60, yeah.
That might be the warmest day we see for the next 5-6 months.
Could well be. It's interesting to see what's been happening over the year, because here's January, just had a great start, 3 to 34% of normal, and then that cumulative yearly average kept slipping. Now, as of the end of October, we're down to nearly 100% of normal. And if November stays as dry as it is now, we'll just be 96% of normal for November. So yeah, it's not a pretty sight out there. It's curious. I noticed that the fire danger rating is still low, according to the sign out there by the east end of town. Makes you wonder if that's really up to date,
Maybe they haven't checked that in a while.
given as extremely dry as it's been. Yeah. So, if we go to the 30-day forecast, the map helps us see what's going on here. For the 30-day outlook, once again, temperatures above normal and precipitation down here, but equal chances of above or below normal. And boy, we've been way below normal. Situation here is with this La Nina pattern, we've had a very persistent ridge filled with warm, dry air over the western United States, slipping into a trough over the eastern United States. That's where they've been getting the cold weather. They had some record cold temperatures last week. And that pattern has been persisting for the entire fall so far. Storms might come down from the Gulf of Alaska to get down as far as the Pacific Northwest. They hit the ridge, and the jet stream pushes them back over Montana and the northern states. So yeah, it has not been promising for precipitation. 90-day outlook is pretty much the same pattern. Above normal temperatures for a large part of the nation, and precipitation, once again, equal chances of above or below normal. So I guess the Climate Prediction Center is still being somewhat optimistic, kind of calling for near normal precipitation. It's not been very good. the rest of this week, taking us right through the first 2/3 of the month, warm and dry. Chance of precipitation, they say, at the end of this week, Friday, Saturday. But that's all they're saying at this point. They really don't have a hard and fast forecast for any significant rain in the near future. And the drought situation, Montanans are covered somewhat. They're out of the exceptional drought category, the worst category. They've gotten a little bit better. The storms that are making it over there, they've gotten some snow up there and over the northern Rockies, so hopefully they'll get some more relief this winter to get out of that severe drought situation. And here in Colorado, western Colorado is just in the abnormally dry category. And it makes me wonder, as persistent as the dry weather has been here over the state, and especially over the Four Corners, here's a little bit of a moderate drought over here in southeast Utah.
Sorry.
Yeah, southeast Utah has slipped into southeast Utah and northeast New Mexico, Arizona has slipped into the moderate drought category now. Hopefully we'll get some relief precipitation-wise, so we don't slip into a drought pattern again. And the precipitation pattern is really showing up in the snowtail reports too. Here's our basin down here, the Dolores Basin, only 38% of normal. The Upper Rio Grande, 34%. The further north you go, the better the situation is, but still below normal. They're getting the tail end of those Pacific storms that are crossing north of Colorado and going across Wyoming and Montana. So they've been in a little bit better situation here, but boy, south of I-70, we folks are suffering. No immediate relief in sight either. Sad to say. I've been informed that the bean farmers liked a dry October. Gave them a chance to thresh their beans and harvest them. They don't need rain falling in their beans while they're trying to harvest them, so they liked it.
Well, that happened last spring or this spring. We were the highest.
Mm-hmm.
It's just reversed.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, last
Our
winter.
snowpack and our water content was the highest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it got really wet last winter, and since then things have been slowly shriveling on us. So there is our situation, unfortunately.
Well, it can always change.
We can hope. Yeah.
We'll, we'll put in our vote for a change.
There you go. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Someone make a motion?
Yeah,
Make that
somebody make a
happen?
motion. Okay.
Right. Thank you,
All righty.
James.
Thanks, James. Do a rain dance every chance you get.
Kim, did you get an update on?
I have not, I know she's trying to cover, Melinda was going to be late this morning.
Okay.
For recording, so
Okay.
I think she's trying to cover that.
All right. Well, I guess we'll jump into. Do you have anything, Melissa? Or would you
No,
like to wait?
I can wait. The one thing I will tell you that I did spend some time on this week, Sylvan Cemetery District, working with them and DOLA with their calculations about how much money you can make from year to year to year, but you can only do a 5% increase. And so poor little Sylvan Cemetery District, who gets all of $400, $600, $800 for a year, they've been out of compliance. So we're working out a plan to get them back in compliance. But if you do, just an FYI that I've discovered,
Yeah.
if you do go over the 5.5% increase from year to year, DOLA comes back, does that calculation. Then if it happens for a couple of years, how they catch you up is when you finally get the calculations, then they have you make all of that up in 1 year. So, I mean, and
So
if,
their income's been gradually
because of the
increasing?
Kinder Morgan, because
Yeah,
it's way out
gotcha.
there, so they've increased over the 5.5% several years in a row, and this year it's down, but at the same time, they go back to all the years that you only
Prior.
should have gotten this much. So this year you got $3 too much, this year you got $12 too much,
much.
this year you got $30 too much, and over a 3 or 4 year period, they're going to make them make all of it up now and get them back in good graces. So it's one of those things that we look at for all of the taxing entities that comes through.
Is that a Tabor? Is that part of Tabor?
Yeah, the 5.5.
Yeah.
So, interesting, we can get it fixed. And the one thing that was nice to say is DOLA just can tell them and write them nasty letters and tell them that you aren't doing this right or whatever. But if there comes to an enforcement, then they can turn around and push that to the county. So we would be the enforcers to tell them that they have to pay this money back. So I'm glad that there's a way that we can actually, it's not a whole lot of dollars, we can fix it and those kinds of things. But I mean, if it were on a bigger scale, if it were the Cortez Fire District or something like that, then it could be a bigger
deal.
A bigger,
Much
badder
bigger
deal. So that was interesting. I learned some stuff, and I mean, DOLA will work with you.
How did that come to your attention?
Well, because Bessie White received this letter,
Oh, a letter
from the
from
state,
the
and says, I don't understand what this means. So she sent it to Leslie, and Leslie and I have been looking at it and stuff, and I talked to the state, so that's when I found out all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
interesting. So,
Educational little journey for you.
yeah. So I wished we were on the upswing where we had more income than we knew what to do with, but
Yeah.
consequently this afternoon, if we talk about budget, we're not in that category. So.
No, we're not.
So, once they pay the money back, where does it go?
What they do is they just
So we'll just take it
assess a smaller amount.
Oh,
So they're only allowed, but how
They don't
you,
actually pay it back.
they
That's how
don't
they
pay
ratchet
it.
it.
Yeah,
That's how
they
that
just don't, they're not
Tabor
allowed
starts
to get more
ratcheting
this
down.
year.
If you have too much income, then you ratchet down your assessment, and then if your income falls, then you have no way to ratchet back up your. I mean,
But what you
it
can
puts you into
do-
a deadly cycle. It's a deadly cycle.
What you can do is put in a temporary adjustment so that you can keep your mills where it is. Their mills used to be .024, and they slowly ratcheted down. Now they're .007. So they can keep it at .007 with a temporary adjustment to get them to the dollars that they need this year. But if you don't do it as a temporary thing and they ratchet it down, they could go to .000,
Well, yeah,
so
it
far
just-
down there that you can't even
Yeah,
assess
it's
anything.
a
So
deadly thing you can get into. Your income and the way
there's
they.
a tricks of the trade is to do a temporary adjustment rather than let your mills be adjusted downward. So that was the one thing that I did learn. And since that's coming up in less than a month, it's all time to do it again. Yay! So,
All right, our clerk and recorder has informed us that we haven't had the sheriff's report on the log cabin liquor, so are we gonna move it to next week?
Well, you guys won't be meeting for a couple of weeks.
we meet the 20th.
20th. We'll meet next week. Yeah.
All right,
I'll just be in touch with her
okay.
and see if she wants it on the agenda.
I was gonna check with the sheriff today.
Okay.
All right, so with that being said, we'll go to public comment. If there's anybody that would like to comment to the commissioners, if you would come to the podium and state your name and address.
Somebody has to have something to say.
Somebody could at least come up and say hi. Hi or goodbye.
I don't know.
Oh, look what I. Look
Good
what
job.
Gail Bach, 7672 Kenny Road, CC. This is actually for Rob. See what you did. See what you did. The chip seal on CC and Road 10 is A-OK. Thank you.
Bingo. See what I did? Yeah, Rob. Yeah, be careful.
All right, seeing no other public comment, we'll close that part and we will go to Rob Englehart, which is the road supervisor for Montezuma County, for his weekly report.
He got off last week.
Yeah, he's been.
Yeah, he's been in Korea. Konnichiwa.
Not Korea.
Oh no, where is
Salvador?
Ecuador.
Oh, that's right. That's right. There you go.
Yeah.
I had a Korean dinner the other night, man.
This is the one. This
And all that stuff.
this is the second son, and he's a teacher. And him and his wife travel abroad to American teaching institutions. And so Korea was one of their stops. I never made it to that one.
Yeah.
And then Kuwait for about 4 years.
Wow.
And I refused to go to that one. And then finally they roped me into Ecuador, and it was the best trip of my life. So it was a great trip. Had a great time.
How's the
Probably
food
wish you'd
there?
been longer.
Food's good. Cervezas are better. It's about 9,100 feet elevation. And so you're up in the Andes, and it stays between 72 and 50 year round. And so they call it the eternal spring because it flowers. It's very much like San Diego. If you go to San Diego, it would be very similar. Except the elevation is really up there. So.
Well, yeah. Did it take you a while to acclimate to that?
No, I
kind
think
of-
because we're pretty used to it here.
Yeah.
You know,
You
a
did
lot of
pretty
you
good.
see a lot of tourists that do though. You know, but then from there we just went up. We didn't go to the jungle. We didn't go down into towards the ocean. We just went higher.
Higher.
And we were up around 13.5, 13.6 at times, and just loving life. You know,
Oh,
in the Andes, and got on went on a horse ride and went up into a condor refuge that they were reintroducing the condors, and it was a great place. A 4,000 acre ranch and farm operation. And it was just a great trip. So had a lot of fun.
Wish you'd
And
stayed longer.
Montezuma County roads are superior, I'll tell you that. I had to travel 2,500 miles to understand that our road system works very well. I wanted to mention that today. So.
Those Ecuadorians have nothing on us in the road
If
department.
you guys
man.
get any complaints on the road, send them to Ecuador.
Send them
Let them know to thank you for the work we do. So yeah, it was a great job. It was a great place. It was a lot of fun. We just had a great time. So
How long were you down there?
we was down there about 9 days.
9 days,
Yeah. The hardest part of the whole thing was getting back into the United States.
Was it
They
coming
just
through customs and
Yeah,
stuff?
they just harass you there, you know. But down there, they were nothing but courteous and gracious. And like I was telling Larry Don, there's not a lot of American footprint down there. We haven't trashed that yet. So they stand on their own 2 feet and do what they need to
what
do,
they
and
need to do.
they do it very well. Yeah,
I'll be
so
damned.
great place. Yeah, enjoyed it. So
Hopefully we don't have the Ecuadorian officials watching us bastard.
Maybe after you.
you know what though? It's funny how they just live life. You know, police run around with their lights on all the time. So I finally asked a cab driver, "Why is their lights always on?" He says, "So we know where they're at. If we need help, we can go get one of them."
We know right where he's at.
And he
all
goes,
the
"Well, what are you guys doing?" He goes, "If they turn them lights on you, you're in trouble."
Somebody's
And they
there,
didn't
yeah.
understand that, you know. So
I'll
they
be
thought
damned.
that was interesting. So a lot of neat stuff like that. Yeah. So anyway, it was
Different
fun.
world,
We
right?
had a great time. Yeah. So back to reality. Work in Cortez District. We finished all the culverts last 2 weeks since we've seen each other on Road P. So all those are done. There's one more just west or east of Road 25. It's a big 8-foot diameter culvert. We got to work on a little shoring wall there. So we'll try to get that done. If not today, tomorrow. And then all the culverts are ready to go. So them are all placed for next year's chip seal. In the meantime, we're getting drier and drier and drier, and the roads are starting to fall apart now. So we've put the Cortez group, the Mancos group, and the Dolores group together, and we've got several water trucks running, and we're starting on roads in the Cortez and the Dolores district. I don't show any Dolores roads on this map, on this schedule, but they'll get there. But for now, last week, Mancos took pretty good care of all their roads. 40, 37, 39, 44 all got done. They're working on hauling some sand today with the water truck, and then hauling some sand also. But then they're also going to start working on some general maintenance, some stuff down Road 41. We got to get some work down there done before winter hits. So they're in pretty good shape. Dolores is those roads are helping Cortez. Plus they're up on Road S today, going up towards Hay Camp. Then they'll work up in Summit Ridge subdivisions, getting those bladed again because they're really washboarding. Want to get them done. If we're getting snow, at least they'll be ready. So. Roundup, W is the big one this week. It's that section over there west of 491 that's about a quarter of a mile long that we ground up a couple of years ago. We're raising that grade about a foot in there above that swamp with some 1.5 inches out of Ormiston. And then we're going to put a 3/4 lift over that and then try to set it for the winter. Then that's on next year's list to be chip sealed when we grind all that up. So we want to get that built up and let it set for the winter. So they'll wrap that up today or tomorrow.
I seen where they're like 3/4 of the way, or
Yeah, right. So,
I was on that road last night going up to Gary Nelson's place.
right, exactly. Yeah, right across there. That's been there for about 2 years now. We kind of let it dry out, and that was that one section that was just coming completely apart a few years ago, and we ground out that section. And so we're on the process of rebuilding it. We are also going to bring some 3/4 down out of Ormiston Pit at put it at the Pleasant View Yard this week sometime. We want to be prepared this winter in case we have a rain or snow in February that we can get out and fix some of these muddy spots that we could not get to last year.
Put that bigger stuff in.
Yeah, we just didn't have the gravel to us. We couldn't get back to the pit to get it. So we want to stockpile, I don't know, 500 or 600 tons down there at the Pleasant View Yard, be able to go get an end dump full here and there and, fix and repair as necessary through the winter. So we want to get that done.
Yeah.
We've also got some shouldering on Road CC and Road W that we want to follow up with. They had a little bit of rain damage on some of that new paved sections at CC. We want to clean up some of that, fix some of that up. Also along that W is the same way. And then three-quarter road base on Road T. When we finally get all this done, we'll move back to Hay Camp, start hauling gravel out of Hay Camp, and we're going to go to Road T. We did that 3 or 4 years ago with that 1.5 inch out west of Areola. We'll put some three-quarter on that. Then we'll start going, following behind wherever we've put the 1.5 inch, and it's been a few years. We want to start putting three-quarter on it and turning them into real roads.
Real
now.
good roads,
So,
good surface. Yeah.
And as long as it stays warm and dry like this is a good opportunity.
Does that
to
1.5
catch them.
inch look to you, Rob, from what you've seen? Is it staying pretty solid, making
Yeah,
your road
we're
bases
very,
that you're
very
pleased
pleased
with?
with that. Yes,
Good.
and we're using it. We're liking it underneath any chip seal and any asphalt that we're going to do.
Yeah.
It's hard to hold it. It's hard to keep it down. But once we seal it, then it seems to
Yes.
be letting it breathe a little better and drain, and we're liking what we see with that stuff. Yeah. So
Good
I
deal.
think that 1.5 inch out of Ormiston was the right way to go on all these new roads too. All these new dirt roads that we're improving. That's better than sandstone. It's better than that big stuff, and it's just locking in and doing a good job.
Good deal.
So very pleased with that. Belly dumps are hauling to Road Z and W, of course, and then hay camp in about a week. Randy's crushing. We've got probably close to 45,000 ton on the ground in hay camp now, and he wants to crush as long as the weather will let him through November. So just kind of see what the weather does. Then we want to pull him into Cortez with his plant. We've got about 30 days of hard work on it, repairing, putting new sheet liners in it, maintenance. Kind of a December, January kind of time frame right there at the yard in Cortez where it's easy to get parts and different things, and then slide him into McCamel late January, early February, and catch up there. So that's going to leave us in good shape in hay camp. Mancos is full. As you can see on the schedule, I went ahead and kept Wiminuche another couple of weeks because they were doing pretty good and trying to get that target tonnage of 40,000. And I think they'll probably come close, 35 probably, 38,000.
The weather holds out.
Weather holds out, so that cleans that up. So we're good in the 3 pits, and all of them are back to full recovery again. So
Good.
we will run out of 1.5 inch this week at Ormiston, but we've got plenty of three-quarter to do the work we want to do with this winter. So so that just gives Randy a place to go next spring, then roll right into Ormiston and start the circle again. So so overall,
Got a good
pretty good.
circuit worked out there, man.
Yeah, we're doing good. We're spreading that gravel out when we're not having to haul it for miles and miles out of our way. We're being able to take advantage of each one of these pits.
Right.
So it's helping. So
And it's smart to get that in there and get that maintenance done
yeah.
so you don't break down when
Yeah,
you're
and we
done.
need it the worst. Yep. So there's the schedule.
Good.
I did get a call from Joe McCleary up on Road 35.6, and he's working with me to start getting a little bit of gravel for some of that green road switchovers we've done, and which I'm glad he's doing. And we went through some of our criterias, and I think that Joe's a good guy, and I think he's going to work it out with some landowners up there to fix a few bad spots along the way, some potholes they want to work on, and so just kind of keeping you up to date on that. We will be starting that process, and he's going to get him some trucks and go haul some gravel. So
Good.
I said he could get it out of hay camp, and away we go. So it's a close haul for him. So so that's good news. So I think it is anyway. At least they're taking advantage of what's now there for them. So
Did Charlie Tate call you?
regarding.
Some gravel up at Summit Ridge Cemetery?
He left a message there, and I told the girls to ask him to come to you guys to. I mean, if you're okay, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Don't take me wrong, but I think it needs to go through you first to approve it. We did some at Areola last year, but that was for Mrs.
Emini.
Yeah,
From
for Emini,
Emini.
but that was her gravel.
Yeah.
So we don't generally supply that unless it's approved by the board. So if they request it and you approve it, then we'll certainly work with it. So
Does he do Summit Ridge and Dolores?
I would
Or is it
imagine
Dolores?
so, because I think they're connected. I think the same board oversees that old, are you talking about the old Dolores down on the lake?
Well, I'm thinking Dolores, isn't Dolores the one right there across from Gonzalez?
Yeah, that's
Summit
Summit
Ridge.
Ridge.
Oh, that's Summit Ridge, okay.
But But they're tied together. I think the same board oversees both of the cemeteries.
So, Keenan, however you want to word it, if you want,
Yeah.
if you want to come in and request it like we do other,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, I
things
think
like
that's
that.
the appropriate
Okay.
way, Rob, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what the message we left him was,
Okay.
to go that way.
Okay, good.
With the sign changes on 35.6 and all those, we will get the winter maintenance, no winter maintenance signs posted now that they're green. And then the other stuff, I'm just going to let it just lay back for a while, see what happens, the parking and this and that, and let the the BLM and all that work itself out.
Yeah.
But now that we've turned them green, I need to get the signs up that say no winter maintenance, so we don't have anybody expecting something that's never going to happen,
yeah.
you know. So I'll get those put up this week. So. Snowplows, you got pictures?
Yeah.
Or did I mess you up?
I was typing an email.
Oh.
It's okay.
Okay, we had an opportunity to get on public auctions with CDOT equipment. So we spent $4,000 and went to Denver and picked up some of these mid-range type. We got 2 of these sizes and 5 extra blades. A lot of our blades are wore out. Our plow blades have been worn down into the moldboards and hard to repair and hard to fix. So we picked those up. I think we bought those for $5 a piece and 2 plows. And I love it.
Oh my God. Cost you more to go get them and bring them home?
Yeah, I think that truck there cost $1,200, I think.
Yeah. Wow.
I didn't even go back one.
God, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, if you can't go
Are
backwards,
they
that's,
in decent shape, Rob?
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah, that one there, those are really good shape. We went up with low boys and picked them up and brought them home because, I don't know, my old training is if you can haul it, it's safer than driving it.
Driving
Just
it, yeah.
nature
When-
tells you.
especially- yeah.
Murphy's Law says you're not going to get over Wolf Creek with it or something, you know. So, but the guys told me, no, they could have drove those home. They're really in good shape. Very pleased with those. They're nice, clean little trucks. They all got the sanders in the back, good sanders. We haven't had a chance to go through them and completely check them out, but yeah, absolutely. We had Wagner equipment up there help us get them all started, and because you got to load yourself and take care of it. So Wagner was good enough to come over and help us with the mechanic, and we got the plows loaded, and we got all started, and they ran great. So there's two that size, and then that last picture that you had there was kind of a fuzzy looking one. That one there, that's one of the big 4-wheel drive trucks, and we paid $1,500 for that truck. Sander included, big wing on the side, but they must have hit a bridge abutment with that one or something because it did a little bit of frame damage, but nothing we can't fix pretty cheaply. Engine, transmission, all that's fine. Everything's good. 4-wheel drive's good. We got to fix a little bit of the frame,
Straighten the frame up
and
a
then
little
we're
bit.
good to go. So we did good. So because we have just a little story, we have a truck similar to this that comes out of the Roundup district that we had to finally weld the 4-wheel drive component together to make it be a 4-wheel drive because you can't get parts for them no more.
Is that right? They're sold. You can't get universal
Exactly.
joints and stuff.
Yeah, it's the transfer case, and it's just a direct drive. There's no second gear in it, so it's we just slammed it in and welded it up. So there you go.
So is that one going to belts now?
No, it's now running good. It's full-time 4-wheel drive. So the funny part about all this is even if we bought them for $4,000 for the parts, you can, a transfer case for one of these trucks is like $4,500. So we got all kinds of parts that we need to.
Yeah.
But it looks like to me these are better trucks than what we have. So we'll start parting ours out. So once in a while you get in those CDOT things and they
Find
work
a
pretty
deal
good.
that just you can't
turn
walk
it down.
away from. Yeah.
So that's what we were doing a couple weeks
Know
ago.
where
so.
they came from? I mean,
Aurora, Denver district.
So it was that just.
Yeah. So
Did you ever get him those blades that they had up there at the launch?
I asked them about that, and they weren't ready to commit to that kind of stuff. The rubber ones you mean? Or which ones are you talking about?
No, they're using the rubber ones. They
had all those steel ones.
No, they won't give me those back yet. They won't give me those, period, because they still aren't convinced the rubber is going to work.
Oh, so they're holding those in
Yeah,
advance.
yeah, and I called them about that. And I said, one of the commissioners.
Because they were going to take them down to belts.
They told me they were hanging on to them till after the first winter. So there might be some different guys talking, But the ones that do the bolt changing, they're saying, not yet.
Not yet. We ain't seen
We
these
want to see if
rubbers.
these
Yeah,
rubber
we ain't
ones
seen
work.
these rubber
Yeah.
ones
So
work.
And I see where CDOT has a new one coming out. It's they call it a tow plow. Did you guys see that? I thought that's kind of interesting. And it kicks off to one side and they tow it behind their plow truck. So basically, they can plow with the front plow, and then this one kicks off to the side, and then it shoves it on out and wings it on off the
They
road.
cover what, a couple of lanes at a time? without
Exactly.
a rig? Yeah.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
22 feet, I think.
Yeah. So interesting concept there. Yeah. So.
But it comes behind it instead of trying to
They pull
beside it.
Yeah, they pull it and it just sets aside and it gives them 2 lanes. So basically, if you're going over Mancos Hill, you don't have to wait an hour for them to get back. They'll clear in both lanes in one
Yeah.
pass, which is kind of neat. So
Yeah.
for us anyway. So I think that was a neat idea. So anyway, that's what the guys were doing while I was in Ecuador. Was chasing around Denver trying to get parts. So, but we got them up there and they got back. No incidents. Nothing went wrong, and everything got hauled in. So we're in good shape. So. Okay, and then I got, I need to discuss this Dolores Norwood Road, what we talked about last time we visited. So I went in, and I put this together. This is the sheet here. I guess you guys can have a copy of this if you just want to look at it. Just made one for. So, in 2018, it's such a big project and so far to haul it. I think the easiest way to do this would be to, and gives it a better road and all around if we do it, is go ahead and get this thing gravelled in 2018. So first thing I got to do in January is revise the Schedule A agreement with Forest Service, which we have to address that anyway. It's due. So that's all going to happen. So in this particular road, I don't think there's going to be any issue with Forest Service as far as the county graveling the road, processing it, laying it down, and then chip sealing it later or this year or next year. As long as it's in their agreement, they're good with it. So we got to get that figure straightened out. We got to address some drainage issues and then fix the road service and gravel that 4 miles of road. Well, that's a lot of work to do with everything else we got on the sheet. So I think the best way to do this is split this up, do gravel in 2018, let it set in for a year, let it get wet, let it be winter, let it come back, and then that way when we chip seal in 2019, we've got a good, hard, stable road base. Or we could lose this whole thing, and as hard as we fought to get this done, I don't want it to go upside down on me. So if the Forest Service will work with me, maybe, maybe not, $6,000 for culverts is what I'm looking at, $60,000 for additional trucking, and about for a total of $66,000. If they can help me with that in 2018, that helps a lot. We're going to have to cover it with our royalty of the gravel, our equipment costs for trucks, and some mag chloride. So a grand total of about $170,000. So if they can help me with it, we are out $104,000. If they can't help me, we're out $170,000 for next year. So I need to then look at next year's work, which I presented to you guys a couple weeks ago for next year's work. What do we want to trim off of that work? Do we want to take something like, I'm suggesting actually Road L, we was going to do an overlay from 145 over to 491, do a mile less to pay for this. Or do maybe Road 25, which I hate to do because we've got this program going on 25 north to 184 and get that done. So just kind of touching around here to see just which way we would go. Pull it out of the savings account, however you want to look at this to get this road done up there. But time is an issue, but mostly trucking. I need some help with trucks. I can't do it. It'll take me 20 days to gravel this road by myself at that haul distance. So I need some trucks. I need at least 6 more, maybe more, to get it done in say 10 days. So. Or we'll just be up there all summer hauling gravel, with 6 trucks. So there's kind of what I'm thinking. And then in 2019, that gives me a year, and it gives the Forest Service a year to really do some budgeting to do the big money stuff. And there's where this is hard dollar numbers. These are numbers that we use every year with oil, trucking for the oil, spreading the oil, roller rent. It's about $277,000 to do this actual cash outlay money on this road. Then we've got our employees as matching, our equipment costs, our chips that we produce. So you're looking at about $125,000 a mile, which is very typical for overall cost. Nothing out of the ordinary. Just normally we split these up with DOLA, or we split it up with the Forest Service, or we let them pay for all of it if it's one of their roads, So that's where we're at. But that's a year away. That's 2 years away, actually, 2019. Stay on target, stay on goal, get it done. but maybe I can get some help with some grants or something by then to help pay that big dollar stuff. So, so I don't even want you to worry about 2019 right now. Just know in the back of your mind that's where we're going in a year and a half or 2 years from now. 2018, no, I've got to deal with. I either got to reduce it off of the proposed budget or add it to the budget and get it done through our reserves or whatever. So something for you to think about. So
When do you, when will the conversation begin with these shared costs with Forest Service? January?
probably after we do the revised Schedule A. Yeah,
When are you planning on doing the rest of the?
we don't do that till January. So
Can I, see that ahead of time?
absolutely, yeah. So those are usually pretty simple. This year a little more detailed. We got some more stuff to talk about. Usually it's like, yep, that one, check it, and we're done.
It'll be a
Little different story with this, yeah. Well, we've also got the park that you guys asked about down below the dam. That'll be one we discuss this time because of we've been off limits on that for so long now. We'll have to get that included in the Schedule A agreements with them. And that road going in and out of there, if Dolores is changing their mindset there a little bit, Dolores County, I should say, we may have to work on that one.
Which
So.
ones are we talking about? Is this like Ferris?
Yeah, Ferris and Campground, right. Try and keep those open.
Yeah, there's some roads like up on, what do they call it, Red Taylor Road, Red Mine Road, whatever it is. It's just terrible road. Red Arrow. Just a terrible road. There's nothing even there. We can't even blade it no more. But they won't gravel it, so I want to get it off the Schedule A. You guys want to beat your blade up on it, you go do it, because it's tearing ours up.
Yeah.
And they've been very fair about that. They've always said, yeah, guys, if you just can't do it, pull off and we'll still sign off as they're done.
Is that Red Arrow still completely shut down after that deal they had with Liuco and stuff up there, that lawsuit and all that?
I don't really know.
Don't know.
I really don't know. It's just one of them ones we bounce through every summer to meet our Schedule A agreements, and it's just a waste of time for them and us. And so that'll be one we have to discuss and figure out what we're going to do with this year because that's about a 4-year agreement. So
Yeah.
we'll make sure we got it covered. So
With those campgrounds, I met with Dolores County's attorney last week about just kind of coming up with a preliminary MOU with us, Dolores County, and the Forest Service. And I don't want to really waste Rob's time with this, but what do we want to be our responsibility versus theirs? Do we want the road? Do we want us to do law enforcement up there? I mean, I told him, look, I think we want as little as possible, nothing really. We want to give you guys permission to do A, B, and C.
Yeah.
Well, the conversation when we had that was they were taking the majority of the responsibility according to their commissioners.
Yeah, and especially of the roads and stuff, and I think we had talked about weed control, maybe some weed mowing and weed spraying and stuff because they've got a pretty bad infestation there. And I think we'd also talked about maybe our responsibility would be on the water. They've got two hand pump wells there in each one of those or at least one campground.
Has to be tested.
Yeah, it has to be tested.
I think both of them's got them.
Do both of them have them, James? Okay. But, yeah, we were keeping a pretty minimal
We
influence.
talked about grading the road in the campground, not the roads to it, but the roads in the campground.
which in my negotiations with them is if you close the gate, there goes your deal. Don't be closing that gate after we make these arrangements and
Right,
make these
right.
agreements. So if you get tired of maintaining your campground, you don't think it's worth it no more. You don't mean you just go close the gate.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. So anyway, these are the negotiations that I'll have to deal with from a road standpoint when we get to the Schedule A
Yeah,
agreements.
we were hoping with that being as close to Ormiston and stuff, that we could find our way to take care of some of that maintenance in those campgrounds.
Yeah, it's like we're up there hauling out of Ormiston right now, so we have to take care of that road going from Bradfield Bridge all the way up.
Yeah.
That's part of our agreement with Forest Service and Dolores County to do. So we water it and blade it and take care of it, and then as soon as we pull out, we're gone. Well, at that point in the year, that's when we'd probably go in and blade the campgrounds.
When you got a blade there.
We got the equipment there, right?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
That's that's actually what we had talked about.
yeah, so.
I'd like to get back to the Dolores Norwood Road.
Okay.
Do you feel comfortable if you was to take part of your reserves and not diminish your current schedule and the Dolores Road? How do you feel about that?
We have enough. Now, we can't do that forever, you know, I mean, sooner or later, I gotta say, okay, that's enough, we gotta pull in, because we're crushing this year, that's a big chunk coming out. We had to pull some out last year to offset the DOLA stuff that we did out on Goodman Point. There was $200,000 there, plus or minus. So at some point here, I gotta say, okay, it's time to put a little bit back in the bank, can't draw on it forever. Now, we do have enough for that, absolutely, I feel very comfortable doing it that way. But
You're
maybe
just talking about 18 though,
in
right?
18 for
Yeah.
sure, and then maybe in 19 we'll discuss it again.
Yeah.
Maybe in 19 we'll just refocus on our budget all the way around and go do it, you know.
But you, in order to accomplish 18, Rob, you're not going to have to adjust your road schedule a whole lot to accomplish this 18, are you?
No, Road 25 is going to be the biggest trucking road we have in 2018. Road P, obviously, is 4 miles or 5 miles of gravel. But if I don't go 20 days on trucking, I can make that fit. You know, if I
What
only
you
got
mean we'd have to hire the trucks?
absolute, well,
Yeah.
I'll help them. There'll be at least 12 to 16 of us up
Right.
there.
Yeah.
But if I try to do it by myself, we're in trouble with everything else. I just don't have enough time with 6 trucks to do it all. So that's why I want to be very honest with you. I've got to go out and bid out, 6 more trucks or 7 more trucks.
That's not
to do it.
included in this number here.
It is right here, not in this number, but if you take the grand total of 170, them 2 numbers add up. So
Yeah, right.
It was 60,000 for outside trucking, 60,000 for us. I used the same hourly rate for the
Gotcha.
trucks and said, okay, I need some help. That way, we're not up there for 20 days.
Yeah. So if the Forest Service, if you can convince them that this is a real number for them to take care of that road, you're only looking at 104 out of your,
Yes, sir.
and that number is manageable for you?
Can I make some suggestions?
Sure.
I'm looking at the budget that Rob has and has submitted. I think there's a couple of things here that he keeps as a cushion that we could look at and potentially, a little bit here and there, save. One of the ones that he has here is leave and retirement pay. He hasn't paid out, he's got 40 in the budget. I think 20 is plenty safe, if something happens.
Yeah.
If it goes over the 20 and he's got 6 people who retire, okay, so we know what happened, So I think there's a safe one right there. When I look at the fuel for what he's had for the history, I mean, the most we've ever paid for fuel was what, $354 in 2015. Oh, there's $441 there.
Yeah, but we cut that way back. This year, we're going to come down. We're projected to come right in under the wire on fuel this year. So, because we took a big chunk of that out last year. Because she was right. That was a big.
A big,
It
big
was
number,
kind of an inflated amount.
When I was looking at July through here,
Well,
So
they,
this-
they were based on $4 a gallon. Then.
Right,
Back when
right.
they were, when
Right.
Lynn and them guys were budgeting that was $4 a gallon for fuel, almost 5.
Yeah.
So we held that for a year watching the fuel, and it never did come back
Never
up. So last year we dropped that way down, and our projected fuel into the year cost is actually going to slide in at just about. We'll probably come in a little bit under budget, but not much.
But not significantly.
Yeah, right.
So this one may not be a good one, but based on 2016,
16,
they spent, is it 259?
259, 260.
Yeah.
So there's a $77,000 possibility right there.
I wouldn't look at that one, but I would look at your capital outlay. There's always a good budget for capital outlay that we don't necessarily spend every year. So, including this year, we used so much of that to help pay for Road 25 on the paving. When we upgraded that from chip seal to paving,
Right.
I took that money and said, all right, slide it into this little nutshell and leave it alone. We won't buy any big purchases this year.
Yeah.
So
Are you for seeing any big equipment needs in the coming year?
trucks. Yeah, we were in good shape on the blades and the equipment, and backhoes and all that, but trucks are going to have to start rolling them out.
Trucks that haul your
The gravel, not adding more, just replacing the ones we got.
Replacing,
Yeah, it's time to start rolling them over. So, yep. So trucks is. I wanted to do some of that this year, but with everything we did on these roads, it's like, nah, let's put the money into the roads. Let's get these roads fixed, and trucks will be okay for another year. But we're starting to see them come in a lot more now to the shop. It's time to start. They just take a beating out there,
Yeah.
It's time to go. So.
I have a couple other line items that are small amounts. Utilities, the most they've spent is 50. He's got 65 in the budget this year. I mean, we might be able to eke out a few thousand there. The addressing expense, it's gonna be a lot less because you used to pay a portion of the addressing position, and now Clint's doing it here and there. So, I mean, I think we can take a good chunk of that out too.
Yeah.
You know, if we reduced it down to 5,000, I don't think he'll do that much. So it's not a lot.
But it's gonna add,
With that fuel in
can-
there,
you
if the
can-
fuel isn't a good one, you know, he said 104,000, whoop, what did I just do?
Yeah, you
$104,000, I mean, we can offset that 104,000,
with maybe
with-
some budget
I don't know where
tightening
that
and.
budget of this one, you know, and
yeah.
even if we did the fuel, and then if the fuel ends up being different, then we know that and we can come back at the end of the year and adjust the fuel
I
if
think-
needed, because I think we could make the budget fit,
Yeah.
do this,
And
tighten
still,
up some of these things, and then if we're looking at the end of the year and the fuel does go over, we can add to it because of the
Right.
fuel. So I'm trying to mix and match.
I think
to
you're
make
right.
it
She's
fit.
100% right. I mean, if the money's in the budget through all these other little items, use it.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we got to do a budget adjustment to pay for some of this, you know, well, maybe it's not 170,000, maybe it's 50,000.
Mm-hmm.
We have to do a budget adjustment, we do a budget adjustment. The money's there to do it with. You know, we've got that capability. But just to carte blanche say, well, we better add another 200,000, I don't think is necessary at this time.
yeah.
I think my question today is, do you want to change any of this to make a budget look like it fits? Or do you want to just proceed with what we've agreed to already and then do like Melissa said, play the cards and see where it takes us for the next one? So
Because as it is now, I mean, if you flip flop and add the this first portion of Dolores Norwood Road, we would be using around $450,000 of carryover. If we did what I suggested and added that, I mean, we would have an ending fund balance of $7.2 million instead of what we're projecting out, 7.7. So, I mean, it's,
Me personally, I would like for you not to change anything
just proceed.
and proceed with her recommendations, which I think were brilliant, and we see how that turns out.
I mean, we did it, and if you know,
I agree.
if the fuel goes up and we know it, we know that we've reduced it a lot, and then if it does, then we make a conscious effort closer to the end of next year to make an adjustment in there. But this way, you can kind of, with what we currently have, we can kind of do the same thing, tighten things up just a little bit, and not really give up anything, and be able to add your extra.
Yeah, because, you know, in this next spring, I'd like to be able to, if we're going to do this, which we are, I'd like to start it early in the spring, as soon as we can get up there, get snow off while there's still some moisture in there. That's usually the typical
And there's
time.
hardly nobody driving up again.
Absolutely, and that's typically the time of year we go up and we do our first blade and try to work out the agreements with the Forest Service on some mag chloride up there. Instead of doing that this year, let's gravel it. Let's get the trucks, let's get them before they get booked, and let's get this thing done. You know, material sitting at hay camp, and let's go do it. Then we'll work on Road P as the time hits us in the right time of year before we chip seal. We would like to chip seal this year on these other roads earlier than last year. We've kind of got agreements in place with Rod to start late June. So we've got a lot of work to do in May, April, May, you know, time frame of hauling gravel. So if I do that first and then go gravel the road later in the summer, we can do that too. We can move that around. If we're not going to try and chip seal it the same year, it's a lot easier to handle. But I really don't think we should chip seal it till 2019. Give it a year to settle down, or we're taking a risk of losing it with being too soft up there. So
Well, I think,
That's a wise thing to do.
yeah, and getting that scheduled and seeing if you can get the Forest Service to commit to some of that stuff.
and give us a
get
chance to work out some ideas with the Forest
Right.
Service on some of their maintenance funding, graveling, or even some grants maybe, you know. You mentioned it, Larry Don, about Dolan. Dolan might be a golden opportunity to look at. I just don't know how it fits being a non-county road and a Dolan project for the Forest Service. I don't know how that fits. I need to ask those questions. So
The
You know
lawyer
if they're
says
gonna be any-
it might be a county.
But they would be more of a, I mean, the 2019 deal's the deal where we need all the
all the help we can get.
All the help we can get.
And it buys us a year of gravel. I mean, that's a stupid road. I went up there yesterday on Friday to go get cows, and it drove pretty good. And I come out Sunday, and I went, "Oh my God, what happened?" It
It's
just
gone from decent
yes,
to bad, huh?
with 4 days of heavy hunting, it just fell apart. It's like we've got to get some gravel on this road because it's just nothing there to hold it no more, you know. So a year of setting and blading and working it and letting the winter set it down will pay big dividends when we do ship seal it. So I just know it will. So
Are they doing any more of those federal land access grants, those Flipman grants?
I haven't heard a word about
Flat
it.
grants,
Yeah.
I mean,
They
those
told us
federal
not
flat-
till, Derek said till 2019 or 2020.
When
Yeah.
before those will come back.
And in 2019, if we applied and we told them no, then I think you got to wait another
But you
2
know-
years to apply
you know,
again
I
or
think,
something. So.
I think Larry Don, whoever suggested, Adola should fit this with Kinder Morgan's compressor station up there with that. I mean, we've got to be able to show that there's some mineral extraction responsibilities on that road too with Kinder Morgan's compressor station up there.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's just
that's
a
a
lot
good-
of questions I don't know how to
Yeah.
answer.
I
'cause
don't know
how the
either,
rules
but-
work on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If it was our road, just county road,
Yeah,
then it'd be
that's-
easy for me to answer those questions. But
Yeah.
too many weird things floating around here that I don't have an idea what goes on. So.
You can even get DOLA grants for, when we had the discussion about the, extend the sewer line from past the city limits of Dolores up the Dolores River, when we had all that TDR debate. And it came down to how many, people that worked for the energy
You were related there.
that actually lived up there.
So who applies for it though? John, do I apply for it as a county, or does the Forest Service apply
I
for
don't
the
know.
DOLA?
Either or, maybe or jointly.
I don't know if the
I don't
Forest
know.
Service
I don't think they
can.
Well,
can. Yeah,
I
they
don't-
probably can.
I don't either. I don't know how the DOLA looks at the federal agencies and their,
Oh, guess I,
Yeah, we have to figure that out.
that's a good question, some questions to ask,
I
huh?
wish I could find Ken Charles and see where's he at now.
His name,
He's
the
long-
new gentleman's name is Patrick.
Maybe at our CCI
Pat
meeting.
Rondinelli. He
we can
is
ask.
going to be at CCI.
Good, so maybe.
There, we can
get
ask
some-
the questions,
there
you know,
go.
and get some answers
There
that
you
can
go.
help us with these decisions.
Yeah. Yeah, a good place
I
to
will
have.
find him up there.
Okay.
He came and talked to Tanner, I think a week ago. So you
Did he?
did meet with him. So,
Good.
I mean, he does want to come over here to Montezuma County and see kind of what's going on. So,
He needs to.
because he was, I'll let Tanner tell you what they talked about. I don't want to steal his thunder. I'll keep quiet. So, I mean, we'll find him and have a conversation with him.
Other than that, that's about it, I guess.
Yeah, we'll
We'll move
we'll
forward
keep
with
with the
that.
plan with everything and see how it goes.
Okay, well, that's good to know. We'll
What
work
do you
that way.
think?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm done then.
Because our roads are looking awful good,
Yes, they are.
especially compared to Ecuador. Did you bring your pictures back so you can hang them on your wall up there and say, this is what we could have?
He blended in pretty good.
Did he?
Did you like my hat?
Yeah, I did.
I got down there and Ecuador's hard on your skin. You know, you're right
A
there.
lot of sun, a lot of radiation, huh?
Yeah, the world don't move much right there, so you get a lot of sun. You know,
Yeah.
it's 6 to 6 from day and night, and it didn't take me long to find a hat. my ball cap wasn't cutting it no
Needed
more.
some sombra all around
Yeah,
the place.
man, yeah. So,
What do they speak there? Spanish?
Spanish.
Spanish.
yeah. My daughter-in-law is very fluent because the school helps provide daycare or nannies, and they don't speak English.
Yeah.
So my daughter-in-law had to learn Spanish real quick.
She
Yeah,
said she got
yeah.
an
So
express version. Huh?
she was worth $1 million because
I'll
wherever
bet
we
she
went,
was.
she could do all the talking. So it was good.
He says, you better be nice to her because she might have led you astray.
Yeah.
No, that'd be my granddaughter. She's learning Spanish fast too. So,
That's a good thing.
yeah. So anyway,
Any
we're
other
good.
questions, commissioners, for Rob?
I don't have anything.
Commissioner Tell?
No.
Okay.
Have you? I have one thing. Do you have a plan on your truck replacements? You said that's really an upcoming item for you. Have you gotten any feel for how you're going to do that or where you're going to do that?
We really struggled with that because getting the new trucks is you get a lot of DEF issues, carbon issues. This new trucks and well, it's hard to keep them running. You know,
Yeah,
they just
yeah.
constantly in trouble. So over the last couple of years, it's getting better. They're making a lot of improvements on both the Cat. Well, Cat's not even in on it no more. Now it's all Cummins or these other engines. But they're finally getting to where we feel pretty comfortable with the idea of just a new trucks. And it'd probably be Kenworth or Peterbilt type trucks. Internationals make good truck. we'll just go out and spec them out, see what the prices are. We'd like to stay close to home, Farmington, Albuquerque kind of thing, rather than Denver, you know? So it's better for warranty reasons on all this emission stuff. But I've already instructed the mechanics to start speccing out the trucks, getting what the rear ends and the tire sizes and the wheel sizes all figured out, transmissions, this, that, and the other. And then we'll see where the budget takes us in 2018 for capital outlay and see if we can rotate a truck out. Now, do we trade them in? Our trucks are getting more valuable all the time. So that leads you down the other path. Well, do we send them down to Texas and have them remanned for $100,000?
Yeah.
Take the same truck and just have it rebuilt, front
yeah.
to back.
Yeah.
It takes 6 months to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of conversations on this stuff, and they're booked. There's not, I'm not the only
There's
guy
a
out
lot,
there
a
that
lot of
has a
guys
truck.
wanting to do that, yeah.
So there's a lot of conversations, but probably we'll go with just new trucks with the emissions being debugged and working pretty good now. So, and then look at trading in one of our trucks or two of our trucks to do it, or save those and make them into water trucks, and then get rid of some of the old junk trucks. You know,
tanks on
put
them.
tanks on them and make good trucks out of them. Yeah, so a lot of discussion out there about that. I haven't got a real good answer, but we're moving around it. So,
Okay.
All right, thanks, Rob.
Okay, thank
See
you,
ya.
Rob.
Melissa, how do you want to move forward now? Do you,
We can do whichever. Do you want to do Tanner, or we can do?
well, if you're ready for that higher education grant, we might
This
as well
is the.
keep in order.
What this does, by signing this, it gives Montezuma County residents, let me see if I find my email, the I can't remember how many Montezuma County residents, up to $500 scholarship per semester. I think up to 14 or 18 scholarships for students who want to go to Fort Lewis. It's some money that they can earmark and use. They've got La Plata County and Montezuma County in here. And La Plata County has already signed this. And so I think it's just an agreement between the counties using their, I don't know what kind of allocation it is. It doesn't cost us anything, but it's just, I think it's a great opportunity for our residents
Some of
to
our
get them.
students here, if they want to go to.
We did this a couple of years ago, right?
I think so, but I can't. After we kind of talked to them, haven't heard anything else, and then they just sent this contract and said, "Hey, can you guys sign the contract so that your students can benefit?"
Have you looked at this? Do we seem to be okay, John?
I don't remember reading specifically. I absolutely recognize this thing. So it's
We're not
out of
obli-
the blue for me. I mean, I remember it, but I don't remember looking at it.
And
specifically.
they came and talked to us quite a while ago. I'm going to say 6 months or so ago. So right here, maximum amount. So it's kind of a first come, first served, I think. And I don't know if this is just the Montezuma amount or the combined, but since it's got Montezuma and La Plata in it.
Yeah.
And I feel like if this is an annual amount, well, here's the annual amount each year. I mean, I think our students should get it just as much as those who live in La Plata County.
Should have the opportunity if that's,
I'm going to see if I can find that Exhibit A. Let me find the email. I can't find my mouse.
Anyway, we can help them get more scholarships for our Montezuma County kids.
Basically, this, I think, helps Fort Lewis get the money to do this with. It's not a,
probably.
but I think we did it a couple of, I think it was 2 years ago. And I never did know it, never did.
I never did hear if anybody had anything, and when I turn this back, I'm going to get in touch with it, send it to all the high schools in Montezuma County, and then ask them just to get back in touch with us, just so we know if it was a good program or people were using it and this and that, so that we can continue it. Because trust me, when you have kids going to college, I don't want to say free money. Free money is pretty valuable, and $500 doesn't seem like a whole lot, but when $500 out of your pocket
But
versus,
it's 500
you
more
know,
than you
that
started with.
that can be allocated to them, I think it's a great thing.
If it's 500 a semester, that helps.
Yeah. And I think I can't find the email, but they said it can be renewed year after year, you know, and it's not a
It's a
financial
minimum
need.
of 500 too. It doesn't say maximum. I mean, other than the maximum cap of $118,000 total between the two counties, but it's minimum $500 per semester, and it's also based on Pell Grant eligibility. So you've got to be
So it's for more of the lower income
Right.
for assistance. Which,
exactly. I mean, it's up to 250% of eligibility, so you don't have to be poor necessarily, but it's more targeted towards lower income people.
and I think your Pell Grant numbers, if you have more students in college, if you've got 2 or 3 in college, that helps you on your Pell Grant eligibility also.
Yeah, so it'll add up to a few $1,000s per student, and I mean, I don't see any harm in signing it. It's either the money's allocated for it, so either we sign it and Montezuma County resident kids are eligible for it, or they're not if we don't sign it.
We don't have to add anything to it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get to the bottom of it.
I mean, it does, you know, it's obviously written by the state. It does protect it. It basically says that they can cancel it any time. It's not really an arm's length negotiation.
When did I say
But,
last motion? I don't remember.
I would move that the Montezuma County Board of Commissioners enter into the Colorado Department of Higher Education grant agreement with Fort Lewis College Foundation and Montezuma and La Plata County.
I'll second.
Motion and second to approve the co-agreement with Fort Lewis College on the grant agreement of higher education. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I did find this piece that says with the combination, up to 6, to award up to 16 and up to 18 eligible first-time freshmen respectively 4-year scholarships of 7 terms. So, I mean,
So it goes on and on, yeah.
the program is referred to as Finish in 4, which, I mean,
Finish
could
in
be-
4.
that's a $4,000. That's a pretty...
That's a help.
Let's see here. In a few years,
Oh,
I'll have a
Yeah.
student eligible. And I'm already, you know, trying to figure out how to get this. I mean, I'll send it back, and then I will notify all of the high schools, all
Yeah.
3 of the high schools, and
Yeah,
make sure that
their
they're.
counselors should have this info. I mean, that's hopefully
Well, I'm gonna connect the dots and make sure they have each other's emails, because
Yeah.
I think this is something that's.
It's amazing to me, the lack of participation in scholarships from the high school.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on a scholarship committee, and we get very few. Yeah, it should be, it's big money.
There's some really good ones. There was a.
Isn't that part of the counselor's job?
It is.
Was
Yeah,
supposed
see,
to be,
that's-
you know.
This is part of my complaint, is that counselors aren't doing their job.
Yeah, they're not.
There was a teacher who passed away while I was working there,
Well,
who
they should be telling
didn't
every
have
kid going
any
to college.
dependents or anybody left or anything. So all the money that she had, her para and her life insurance and all this stuff, they put into a scholarship. But she was a passionate teacher, and anybody from MCHS who wants to be a teacher,
Could
it's
apply
a pretty
for it.
simple scholarship, you
Yeah.
know. And her brothers pick her brothers pick the winners, and there are times when they don't even have people who
Apply for it.
apply for it.
That's not, they're not educating the kids to what's out there.
I blame the counselor. I don't know if that's right or not, but that's who I blame on the thing. Is. But I know we put out some $15,000 to $16,000 scholarships, and get enough kids to apply, they are going to make it worthwhile.
Well, I can bet there's going to be a counselor that's going to be tired of seeing me.
I'm tired of hearing you.
Come on, there's going to be something out here.
Somebody's out there.
You know.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
All right, well, I see Tanner's in the room, and we'll go forward with the Fairgrounds monthly report. Tanner Young, which is the manager of the Montezuma County Fairgrounds.
How's it going?
Morning, Tanner.
Morning.
How you doing? How's hunting?
Good.
I heard you must have been successful.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, I got a deer Saturday. Now I got to go after an elk this week. So
You're halfway home.
try to fill the freezer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I was off a good part of last week, and then this week I'm trying to take Wednesday and Thursday and Friday off to.
Go finish her up.
Yeah, I got an elk tag. My wife does. She has a buck tag, so we're trying to get some meat in the freezer. So, pretty short and sweet this month. Fairgrounds income to date $68,280.50. That number is going to start going up, especially after this week. We have a busy week this week out there.
Got a junior high school rodeo or something coming up.
Yeah, junior rodeo.
Junior,
Yeah.
mhm.
Fairgrounds attendance to date 70,992 people. Pretty good, solid number. We had October 28th had a high school junior high rodeo, and it was canceled, so we did not have that event. Coming up this week, we're actually rolling the indoor arena right now. If you have any complaints of people calling saying, well, the indoor arena is closed for open riding, we got a busy week. So we're rolling the arena today. Teen Maze is in there setting up tomorrow, and then they have Teen Maze in there Wednesday and Thursday. As soon as they're out, we have to hurry up and chew the ground back up and get it ready to go for a junior rodeo or Saturday and Sunday. And then we have
Pack it one day and chew it up the next. Huh?
Yeah, and short-handed really this week because I'm off hunting, and then Larry, the other employee's off hunting, so it leaves a lot of it on Tim. So we're trying to get a lot done the next 2 days. We'll have, like say, roughly 60 to 70 horses stalled there. They're getting to be pretty big junior rodeos. They're growing bigger and bigger every year. So it's kind of our week this week.
Was that part of our, not donations, but did they ask for money for the Teen Maze?
Yes, they're on the on our budget.
On our
I think
list.
it's 3,000.
All right, so that was in this last
Yeah,
spring.
yeah.
We already granted
That's-
money for
that's
this
right.
year.
I think they normally do come to you guys. So.
I think it's 3,000, and I think they got the 90%
Right.
in the budget.
Are they expecting, I thought they had talked about expanding to more schools, or do you know? do they
I don't
give you
know.
any
Yeah,
idea?
I haven't heard. I'll find out tomorrow morning. But
When the
I haven't.
buses start showing up.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. Start stocking toilet paper. But yeah, I don't know what they're expecting attendance wise.
I think they used to do it in the spring.
Yeah, and
Yes.
And school-wise, that's always a conflict with all the testing that they have to do. So they convinced them to do it in the fall, and that helped participation.
Is this the first time then for the fall?
Last year was. So this
So
is the
the
second
second
time.
year.
Yeah, last year was the first time they did it in the fall.
Did it work well for them?
Yeah. Yeah. I think everything worked real well for them. So
I heard good things about it because I had someone who attended.
Nice.
my wife's in there. She does for the hospital for the labor and delivery. So she's in there for the reproductive side of stuff. So telling all the scary stories. But
You go through, and it's kind of a thing where you go through and you make choices, and the choices that you make then takes you to different things. So you got a group of you who do this, and you choose to make this life choice. Well, half of you go this way, half of you go this way. You choose to drink and drive. Half of them go to jail. Half of them
Getting arrested.
So they different things that you go. So you start the big group, and then you slowly get funneled into a small thing. And did you come out alive?
yeah. We take the yellow city panels that we store out there, and we set up a little jail for them. Then they bring in the toilet and like a portable toilet and everything in that, so they feel like they're in jail and so on and so forth.
And
Yeah.
they put some in there.
Their bill for that, fairgrounds wise, so it's $225 a day times 2, so $450 a day, and then they have the kitchen for 2 days, so that's another $100. So their bill's $550 is what the fairgrounds brings in. So yeah, it's a busy week out there this week. Another thing we're working on is the exit devices on the indoor arena. So in the main building, there's 18 doors going out. They all have that push bar. Those are the original ones from when the building was built,
Yep.
from the 80s. When I was hired, a lot of them haven't been working. Some lock, some don't. So we chain lock them on the inside at night to make sure, nobody can break in. Obviously, during the day, we unlock them, per fire code. I think if the fire marshal really wanted to get on us, technically we can't even lock them at night, because if somebody was in the building,
Trapped inside, yeah.
had a fire, they wouldn't have a way to get out. The big issue is the expense of these push bars. I've had a local locksmith a couple years ago come out, and at that time he was telling me $800 to $1,000 a door. Just for the push bar apparatus.
Push
This
bars
isn't
are
the door,
crazy.
just the push bar.
Whoa.
So I had another locksmith come out and work me up a quote on it. And this is even kind of simplifying it to where, every opening there's 2 doors and then the bar down the middle. So this would be having one door locked and the other door is always locked. And you don't, you can't put a key in it from the outside. But then what you do during an event is you, I don't know the correct word, but you dumb them down. You take an Allen key to where they open continuously without it. Well, going that route with the new hardware, where I got a quote from him at $1,400 per door, $2,800 per opening. Obviously, we can't do that. I mean, that eats my whole budget up for the whole year, just in those. So I, as luck would have it, I went and met my wife for lunch at the hospital, and one of their maintenance guys was working on a door there. So I got to quizzing them a little bit and got all kinds of knowledge from them, and got their company, and come to find out the county's already set up through this company, a company up in Denver, to where I can get the style we have now is a big bar you push. The new style is
Just the bar in the middle of it,
exactly.
you hit it, the bar, yeah.
Yep. That class, it's a different brand. It's called a Mark. That I can get right now for about $251. Plus the hardware for the outside is going to be about $300 per door. So I have 2 of those ordered coming this way right now. I'm going to get with Mike at the maintenance because I'm pretty foreign on working on those doors. I don't know a lot about it. Have him show us how to do it. And if those work, we're going to go in and replace
Just
every
do
one
them
of
all.
them and go that route. $300 a door, so we'll be looking at just under $6,000 to do all, which is still an
Instead
obscene
of-
amount of money. But
Yeah, still a lot of money, but it's not 18,000-20,000
yeah.
bucks.
The issue we run into is, so like during a gun show, we have the main entrance by my office, and then we have the handicapped entrance. Well, the other doors, we can't have them chain locked during an event. So if it's an event where they're charging admission to come in the building, I have to have them have somebody set at all those entrances to make sure somebody doesn't sneak in or sneak out, stealing product or whatever. So that's what I'm trying to help. That's one of our biggest, I wouldn't say it's a complaint, but
It's a
issue.
drawback,
that,
yeah.
something we need to fix. And like I said, we haven't addressed it in the past just because we use our whole budget up for a year just for those crazy 18 doors. So we're going to try this route and
Well, hopefully that'll work for you, Ken.
see what happens. So
And the insurance hasn't said anything yet or anything like that, but this is potentially, if this works or
Health and
whatever,
safety, yeah.
this could be something that we possibly would use our one-time Kinder Morgan monies for, or could go to the capital for, because it's something that is different that's going to make the facility better.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it ends up to where we can do this, if we so choose, we could even amend our capital budget next year and do it that way.
well, if these work, I'll have enough money in my operating this year to do it. So like I say, we run as lean as we can through the end of the year, and then try to make some purchases at the end of the year to better everything.
Depending on how much you've been able to accrue. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's where we're at. We have this small little sum of money, and that's pretty high up on the list of something that needs to be fixed and replaced. So that's the route we're going to go there. Now, down the road, there might be larger issues like the whole fire suppression system up in the roof doesn't work, hasn't worked forever.
Never did
that's
work,
something-
probably.
Yeah, never. I mean, there's pipes missing out of it. So that's something. It's going to be very expensive to fix, but we probably need to look at down the road fixing. Now, granted, 90% of it where it covers the indoor arena, there's really nothing to burn there. It's just
Right.
dirt and
Dirt
and
pad,
a wall.
big dirt pad, yeah.
So
Maybe reconfigure it where it's just in
Just
the areas
on the-
that have that danger, yeah.
yeah, and really our most dangerous spot
Is your kitchen.
is the
probably.
kitchen. Yeah, and we don't have an Ansel system over that. That's something I'm going to dive into next. well, kind of. Working with DOLA, I did meet with the gentleman, Patrick, I can't remember how to say his last name.
Rondinelli.
Yeah, very nice guy.
Good.
Yeah, he came out and I gave him a tour of the whole fairgrounds, gave him all the statistical information from the fairgrounds. I think he came away impressed with everything and how everything's going here. Very open-minded man. I told him the idea about the restroom trailers. He loved it. He was the town manager in Ouray and tried to do the same thing there. He said they have so many events. He thought, he wanted to buy those trailers to use them in their town for events, and his town board wouldn't approve it. But he loves the idea. Thinks it's a great idea. He was going to go back through our last application and get the information to me as to where we think we can improve on. As soon as I get the grant done, which I need to get rolling on now. As soon as I get it done, he said to please send it to him for review. He'll give us any comments, to help us on it. Very
Did he
positive.
tell you when the next grant cycle is?
These ones are due December 1st. So that's, I was going to get, if I could get the financial information
Okay.
from you, I was going to call
They
you
do a
tomorrow
mill
on that.
and different things on it.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And then I'll start working on the rest of it probably tomorrow. But yeah, December 1st and then April 1st. There's 3 cycles. April 1st and then the other one, I think,
August
is August 1st.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I was. I spoke with him and he said, yeah, we haven't had a whole lot of applications turned in year round. He said apply. He said apply for 2 or 3 each cycle out there.
Sure.
So that's what one area I need to improve on out there, and especially in the springtime. I just don't have the time to sit down and ride them. But this time of year, December, January, if I can, just pre-ride them. But I'd like to. Obviously, we're going to do the one for the restroom trailers.
And you think you'll make it for this December 1st?
Yeah, I'm going to do everything in my power, even if I have to be out there at midnight around my hunting and stuff. Yeah, we're going to do everything we can to get it in there. So we'll have. I'll probably have some paperwork for you guys to initially approve next week on it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The financial side of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we'll apply for on this cycle. The next cycle, the 2 ideas I have, number one is to redo the kitchen, like we were just talking about the Ansel. The whole kitchen needs upgraded. It does. It's outdated.
You're right.
Hard to keep clean. Just those types of things. I think it's a need.
It's the original kitchen, right?
It is. Yeah.
My gosh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's old. We've upgraded, some of the fridges and things like that,
Yeah.
freezers, but it could definitely use a makeover. So we'll apply for a grant for that, and then also the portable solid-sided stalls that I spoke with you guys about. I think that'll be a prime candidate to do if we can get half of those paid for through DOLA. So hopefully he went away with a good feeling. I think we had a real good meeting, and he was happy with the facilities. So
Is the refrigerators, there's not a freezer room.
yeah, we have 2 tall chest freezers, and then we have one big commercial refrigerator that actually the 4-H kids bought and donated to the fairgrounds years ago. It's a big, nice fridge. And then we have just a regular fridge with a little chest freezer up top.
Do they usually fill those freezers up?
Yeah, for the bigger events they do, absolutely. Yeah. So,
Usually them restaurants have a
the
walk-in
walk-in.
cooler, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on occasion, if we have to use them,
And we have. Commodities.
the commodities have a freezer and a cooler, both,
Yes, a cooler and a freezer.
over just across
Sure,
the way.
across the way there and there where they're.
Well, and when we've done our employee appreciation, we've used those coolers and freezers
Yeah.
to deliver the stuff too.
And then also for county fair, we let them use them like to store all their corn and stuff in for the corn shucking. That's
Yeah.
where they store them there. So yeah, those are the ideas I have for applying for those grants. So yeah, I think it was a good meeting, and hopefully we'll be successful on it. I spoke with the gentleman in charge of the GoCo grant, which we applied for last year, and they did not like the idea one bit. I mean, they shot it down. We were one of the last rated grants. So I called and spoke with him again today, and he basically said, don't waste your time. It's just not what.
GoCo's
Yeah,
about.
he said go ahead and apply if you want, but it's not what we're trying to do.
Now, let me ask you on these two. I mean, we have our conservation trust funds. Do we want to use the conservation trust funds as our matching funds
Yeah, that was my thought.
on these that are
These
coming up?
these
You know,
dollar grants,
so
yeah.
we've got that, or we've got the capital fund, so we can do any kind of combination.
Yeah.
However we go.
Because it's 50/50, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
At least 50/50. If you go more,
Then your
You know.
chances improve.
And,
Yeah.
and we'll have a small portion, at least on these trailers, of in-kind from our different customers. You know, the Fair Board, 12 Hours of Mesa Verde, try to get Ag Expo on board, the Ute Rodeo,
Yeah.
as them just basically prepaying.
Right.
But it shows as a match on the grant. So
so you're saying through their donations.
Right.
You said that one way. In kind, they
In-kind
don't.
trade.
They don't like the necessarily in kind trade that Rob's done with our labor and stuff on these grants. So that's actually cash match rather than in kind.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
in kind would
We'll
be
just
you
label
and
it as cash
yeah,
match, cash
yeah,
match.
cash match from another source,
Right.
which is fine.
From several other sources.
Yeah, because in kind, they kind of look at those and kind of shuffle those to the bottom of the pile.
and that was one of the main things that we were commented on positively on the GoCo grant was our in-kind or cash match, the involvement of all the other entities. We were
That was a
highly
plus for
regarded
you.
in that, yeah.
Yeah.
They basically, and one of them, I read through the whole thing several times, one of them basically said, well, this isn't a sexy project. It's toilets. And that's not what
That
they
was
were
their
looking
comment?
for.
It
Yeah,
wasn't a
that was
sexy
their
project?
comment wrote on the application. That was their thinking.
Find something
How
sexy.
can you sexy
Yeah.
up a bathroom, huh?
Yeah, I don't know what.
We need,
Yeah.
gotta go, you gotta go.
Yeah. So we'll try on this one. Another thing, I am working on the sand for the outdoor arena. Weminuche is going to donate sand for the outdoor arena. I've gone down and met with them, looked at all their different types of sand. They would give us whatever we wanted. I was nervous to go with the wash sand because there wouldn't be enough
Binder.
material binder, exactly. So what they had there was some natural sand, but it had some rock in it. So they went through and screened the rock out.
Oh, wow.
Gently washed it to where it'll still have enough clay in there to kind of bind mixed in with our dirt. Where I think it's going to be the right combination. We've gone and done some tests on it, just little redneck tests and stuff. And, I think it's going to work really well. We're looking 500 tons will be 3 inches of fill in that arena, which will be just about right, mixed in with
In
what we
the
have
outdoor.
in the outdoor arena.
Yeah.
So that's a donation that they're going to give to us in return on our side. We're going to display their banner in the indoor arena, which divided by $300 a year of that amount,
Yeah.
which is a good deal for us. And then I think the Ute Rodeo at the same time is working with them and lists them as a sponsor for doing that as well. So the one thing I wanted to ask of the commissioners, I just spoke with Rob briefly back there. I've been talking with him about hauling it, and he said to get your approval on the road department hauling the sand for us.
Yeah.
I think it makes, absolutely. It's a
Okay.
county to county deal, and I think that's, you bet.
Yeah, so we'll hopefully get that going the next 2 weeks probably.
Try and get that in before
sand.
winter gets here.
Yeah, yeah,
Good.
and that'll help us immensely. So
How long do you think it would take for them to haul that?
500 tons, so 22 loads roughly.
2-3 days?
Oh, yeah, how long
probably
is it
3
from the
days.
Four Corners?
No, down almost to Ignospas.
Oh,
Yeah, by Four Corners. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that plant right there. So, but they basically mixed or kind of made this sand exactly what we wanted by running it through and screening it again
Got
and
the
washing
rocks
it.
out and stuff,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think it's going to work really well for what we're wanting to do. So
Can't beat a deal like that.
yeah, and then the fairgrounds, we just recently purchased a 40-foot storage container. If you see it out there where our shop is, we put it to the west of our shop and the commodities buildings. We built a pad and set it right there. It would just be nice to have. We'll build some shelves and stuff in there to set a lot of my old records, which, I mean, we have a huge place out there in all these buildings, but really on our storage side of stuff, we don't have much space at all. We just have my little office because everything else is utilized
For somebody
by the
else.
Yeah.
yeah, so this will give us an option to, store all the old files and things like that in there.
Clean
And
your
then,
office up a little bit.
yeah, it
get you
needs
some more
cleaning
room.
a lot. So it's a dust bowl. So yeah, kind of somewhere to put that stuff so then we can go in and redo the office we have at the same time. So. And then clean all the stuff out right now in our little mechanic shop. Basically, by the time we park the welder, the gator, the lawnmower, and the golf cart in there,
It's full.
yeah, it's full. So we can move some of that stuff in there.
Where'd you get your container?
A place called My Mini Casa. That was the cheapest place. Their office we dealt with was in Salt Lake City.
And the Fair Board got one
The
too.
Fair Board got one too, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we saved a little money purchasing two at the same time. And then also that week they had a special on them. So we got them delivered to us, a 40-footer for $4,300.
Wow. That's pretty
And
good.
where's are they brand new?
No, they're used. They're not the one trip. The one trip containers were $7,000 to $8,000. So, but they're in good shape. We'll paint it. Other than that, I mean, they're
Still
in good
solid.
shape. Oh yeah, yeah.
That was delivered for 43.
Delivered for $4,300 for a
Pretty
40
dang
footer. There was a local company up behind IFA. There's an advertisement there, and I called him. He only deals in 20 footers, and a 20 footer from him was $3,600.
So you
And we were,
doubled it.
yeah, we were $1,000 cheaper through this company than if we purchased one through Farmington or Kirkland area. So it was by far the cheapest. So,
Yeah.
but it'll be nice, and it's the higher one as well. They're a foot higher. So yeah,
All right. Anything else, commissioners?
I don't have anything.
Thanks, Tanner.
yep. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Dan.
And I see we have Mike Chenard, which is over the maintenance. So we'll have him come up and give us his report, quarterly report.
Morning, Mike.
How you doing, Mike? Good.
Good morning.
We'll see if he talks to me.
Have you
I've
been,
got-
have you been grading
Oh,
his?
no. He's doing lots and lots of stuff. He's very, very busy.
Yes, very busy. I didn't get much report going on all of them. We did take care of the sheriff stuff. The horse corrals were all done. We got the water to them. They got the electrical to them. We installed 2 new units on the sheriff's department. That's done.
Those those
HVAC.
HVACs, yeah.
Right, we got them done. The parking lot's done. We're gonna get a stripe this
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah, that looks
Good.
good. Really
Yeah,
good.
we gotta get a stripe this weekend. We couldn't do it this weekend for the
And
veterans.
the landscaping is unbelievable.
Thank you. Came out good. Looked really good. It
Place
made
looks
the
like
building
new
look good.
place, Yeah.
It looked so run down before you did everything you did.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
and we're going to rearrange where the parking is and things like that. We haven't made friends over there, but we aren't here to make friends.
No.
To put all of our vehicles in the back, in the corner, in the back, where there's more space for
On
the
that
buses.
southwest
And
side,
it'll be the northwest
Probably it'd be like the northwest side.
northwest side.
Yeah, we want to leave more parking for the Well, you know, if we leave more parking for the veterans and the senior citizens, we still got to deal with the people, the dentist people and all them. They all park over there.
I
So
know they do.
But the other thing of it is for events, when there's events, then the main parking lot will be empty for people who
Come to those
come
things.
and rent that facility
Yeah.
or whatever.
right.
So
So
that'll be helpful too.
Good.
and the remodel's going good. We just tore out that glass door for them. Dentist needed that tore out today. So we
Oh.
went and tore it out this
Down.
morning. So
There's
Moving
no
along.
flooring. All the flooring's gone except for in the
courtroom.
commissioner's room.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's
So-
all there still. So
Did they do the jury room already?
no, not yet.
So
We still got the jury room. We still haven't finished painting all that.
What do we have a roll off? Do you have a roll off here or something?
for the carpet,
Yeah.
they're
They're hauling.
taking it.
Dennis is hauling it with his trailer. He's
Oh.
got a dog here. He's hauling all this stuff out of here. So he did fill up one of our dumpsters one time. We told him he can't do that. So we brought his own trailer in. Projects. Annex 1, going to paint inside. We're going to get that figured out once we get the remodel kind of squared away. We got a lot to do on that one still. We're pretty caught up.
Yeah.
All our big projects are caught up.
Have they done anything at the courts to do that access to the heat pumps and stuff in the ceilings where they expanded?
They're going to do that over Thanksgiving weekend.
Over Thanksgiving.
I mean,
weekend.
the Thanksgiving holiday. And we still have problems over at the courthouse with the HVAC stuff. They're taking care of some of it, but
There's still some battles.
they're still working on some of that stuff. I mean, there's some of the stuff that should be like it is. And I've been dealing with James on it to get it done. So
Good.
So Empire Electric, and Melissa, you had sent it to the commissioners about net metering, but the system that's in there right now should never produce more electricity. How come we had to go through all that, do you know?
On that solar
On
panel.
the solar panel, I haven't actually talked to the gentleman who got it taken care of yet, but it's just part of what they do for putting the electricity back
Anytime
into
there's
the
a
grid.
solar solar deal that produces electricity into a system, they have to have this in place?
I think so,
Yeah.
And this is
for the new.
very minimal what that, what the
Yeah, it'll
panels-
we'll never
Never
net
be
meter.
producing.
I don't know why we would have to go through all of that.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but it's very minor what they're putting in. I mean, I'm strictly on solar, and I've got that many panels for just do my whole house, and it's not going to do nothing. And who was in
Well, it'll
charge
do
of that?
something.
Well, a little bit. It'll help a little bit, right? If they're going to add panels to it, that's the plan, right? To add panels to it. I mean, that's what I was told. And
Hopefully down the road, yeah.
who was in charge of that project as far as getting it done and what's done on it?
Yellow Jacket.
Yellow Jacket
I mean, as
Solar.
far as
I mean, the paperwork.
you know, they put that big old pole at the pan, and they didn't paint it. It looks like hell. I mean, who do I go to have them paint it?
Probably
Is
Yellow
it Jane?
Jacket.
Is it James that I go through, or was that
Probably
their
the
project?
Yellow Jacket Solar.
So just go directly to him.
Because the solar part,
He's not going to paint it. He doesn't paint any of these poles. I don't know why he'd start painting them now.
Oh, okay.
Who put the pole in? Did James? put-
No, Yellow Jacket did.
Yellow Jacket
Yeah,
put
Yellow
it
Jacket
in,
put
yeah.
it in.
All I can say is I don't remember us telling that he needed to paint the poles, so
Oh, okay. That's what I wanted to know. I want to know if that was something they wanted done.
I don't think so.
Okay,
I don't know
that's
that
fine.
for sure.
have they given you invoices for that yet?
I haven't
They
seen
were
it.
the
The electrical's
electrician?
not done yet.
Okay.
Tom's got to go back. He made a mistake on what between the three-phase and single-phase power on it, and so he's gonna have to redo it. And
Is it not running now?
no, not yet.
Oh.
No. Tom was there. He was there Friday, and he's got to go back because he thought it was a single phase or whatever, and now he's got to bite the bullet and do it right. And it's going to cost him money to get it right, but he just didn't know what they wanted. So, but he'll finish up on it though.
Well, he would probably have the expertise to know about this net metering and all they wanted to fill out,
Right.
wouldn't he? I mean, that's what he.
It does sound stupid that we have to even fill it out. if
What is
we're
the
not-
paper? What is it about? What is it for?
It's from
Empire
Empire
Electric.
Electric, part
Right.
of their, anytime you have solar that's producing electricity that goes into their system, which this won't directly go into their system, it'll go into the building, but it
Right.
will never be putting electricity back in where they have to have a buyback rate
Oh,
on
okay.
it and all that stuff. Yeah, it's a pretty big deal, which I don't think our courthouse is gonna consume everything we produce there, so it's not.
Yeah, we need a lot more panels to even make it a effect.
Oh, yeah.
A lot more panels.
I haven't actually got back with the gentleman from Empire Electric yet. I've been swamped.
You've been, yeah, that's low on your list of things to do.
Low on the totem pole.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to redo concrete over there at the new courthouse.
There's 2 items left, well, Mike's here, that I talked to Monty. They've got the one little piece of concrete that they don't like.
The city doesn't like
The city didn't like the engineering on it. They're supposed to be
Where's it
redoing
at?
it.
Comes
It's
right
on
off
the-
of Park Street.
Right off of Park, it's on the north side.
To that sidewalk that goes up from the street all the way up
They
to the
say that
building.
it was too steep of a slope, so they're redoing that. And the other piece is those 3 accesses to the HVAC system on the inside, that the requirement per city interpretation of the code is that there needs to be a platform and lights for someone to be able to work on those 3 units in that area,
Right.
rather than having to do it on a ladder at the top of the ladder with a flashlight in your mouth.
I mean, a bigger access
And a
doors.
bigger access to
Right.
it, yeah,
So James is fixing it?
yeah.
James and Miller Bondage.
Miller Bondage,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
No, that, and I just don't understand. I guess it doesn't matter because we do not have to pay for it. But when the architect screwed up this school and Dolores, they were the ones responsible because they designed it wrong. And so why is our architect not responsible for designing it wrong? And it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, we've been going round and
Yeah,
round
it's
the last
still hasn't been
3 weeks
decided
on.
fully who's gonna be responsible for that, and I think
I mean,
Humphreys Poli, I think, is gonna be responsible for some of that.
Should have been cut a lot earlier too.
Yeah.
I mean, instead of
Oh.
after the building's completed, you figure
Well,
out you made a mistake.
When the people doing the HVAC, putting all
Yeah.
that stuff in there, they should have seen it right then and said, hey, this doesn't work.
Yeah, I talked to those
Yeah,
guys
it's-
when they're putting that stuff in. And I told them we're gonna have problems with them.
That it's between them.
Yeah, right,
How
right,
do you
between
fix
them,
it?
that's
I
exactly
agree.
right, John. The three of them can figure it out.
Are they getting the controls better to where you don't have the cold temperatures with the heat pumps or?
What was it? I think it was Friday or Thursday. The Kiva was like 59 degrees, you know, and they had fixed it. They're supposed to send the guy out to adjust it again. It just takes a long time to come up apart. I mean, you know, I checked it at 6:05, it was 59 degrees, and I checked it at 10 o'clock, and it was about 68. And they couldn't have meetings, and it was too cold, so they couldn't use the room. So they gotta find a better way to get it.
Get it warmed back up.
Yeah, I mean, start the system up earlier, a lot earlier than they are, to get it warmed back. I mean, the system's working, it's trying to heat, but it's taking too long. You know, so it's a big unit. It's a pretty good sized unit. It shouldn't take that long. We'll be dealing with the control problem for a little while before they get it done. You know. So,
And I know those on a 1-year warranty.
yeah,
At
everything's
least-
on a 1-year warranty. You know, so
At least they're, and are they responding to you pretty decently?
pretty much. I had a discussion with one of the guys. They wanted us to blow out the system, the sprinkler system, and it wasn't a good conversation because I told them we're not responsible. You guys are responsible for a year to maintain everything from the sprinkler system, the grass, trees, everything for a year. Then I got in this big nasty discussion with Patrick, and I apologized to Patrick because I, got on his case about it. Then Jeremiah called me and said, "Okay, we're going to have a blown out this week." So they did it. I think they did it Wednesday.
And was that in their agreement?
Well, yeah, it's a year agreement. They take care of everything. They got to blow it down, and then they got to fire it back up. And then we take responsibility after that.
Do you even have the equipment to blow it out?
Do we?
Yeah.
No, we have to have somebody. We have to have somebody do it. It costs us. I think we paid like $60 or something like that to have them blown out. But still,
Well, the main thing is the trees that, and I know this is up in the air, but I believe that there's going to be some dead trees.
Oh yeah, they've replaced 2 already. I think so far.
Oh, have they?
Yeah, they've replaced 2 of them.
Those
so far.
conifers in the back?
Yeah, they replaced those on the very north side, like the northwest side of it. They replaced 2 of them, and that's pretty early. That's pretty quick. So, and we just have to keep an eye on them, make sure
Just
they
stay
do
on
it.
top of them, that's right,
Yeah,
stay on
I
top of
mean,
them.
and then they cut back. What was the name? Patrick. They can't afford to have them out here anymore. So I'm not sure who's going to be out here to respond to all the warranty stuff. I mean, they're out of Farmington, and the contractors are out of Albuquerque. So we're looking probably 10 days, 2 weeks to get something done when something happens. We had a bunch of water leaks. We had 3 water leaks in the equipment room that we called about last week. I don't know if they got them done yet, but
Water leaks from what, Mike?
the 2 hot water pumps for the boiler system, they're both leaking. And then we got one system leaking up above the hot water heater. It's just a joint that's leaking, and stuff like that's got to be taken care of. And it's down their deal. So
Sure.
I don't want them to build up and wait like a month and send a crew to do everything. They need to get it done right away.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you're from Albuquerque, but it's got to get done. So
That's the deal you made.
yeah, it's been a handful, but they're getting better. They're starting to get better at it. So
Stay on it,
yeah, I am.
stay on it.
You guys have any questions or?
Do you think that, do we still have a timetable of like 6 months for the remodel? Or not really a remodel, just the,
Over there? I don't know. It's going pretty fast, but I don't know. I need to talk to Dennison when he's going to get the flooring done so we can kind of see.
And we need to I need to talk to Josiah about that too. But once the flooring's done, he's going to have to put that door back up, get a contractor to put that door back up that we took down, and cut the windows in and all that stuff. So,
And
do you feel like it's kind of going on schedule? Then,
well, right now we're fighting with the electrician and the cubicle guy. He called me this morning, and the cubicle guy said that he measured out where the holes are supposed to be drilled for the monuments from underneath the floor of electrical, and he said, well, anywhere close. But then, if Jerry screws up and it's too far away, then Jerry's going to have to come back and re-drill the hole. So I'm going to meet with Jerry in a little bit, and we'll discuss it and see. I mean, they're gonna have to get a better measurement than close. I mean, you're drilling holes in concrete,
Yeah.
and you don't want to have to patch them again.
No.
And you're putting the electrical monuments, so we'll have to discuss it, and I'll see what Jerry's gonna do. And I don't know who,
Well, you wouldn't blame the electrician, it sounds to me like, for saying, wait a minute.
right, and that's what the guy said, you know, if you go to the center of the hole, you know, and then, or the outside or the inside, depends how they measured it. So if Jerry puts it to the outside of the hole, it's gonna be off 3 inches. And vice versa, if he goes to the inside, so they need to find out which one it's gonna be. And, you know, that should be okay, that should be no problem. And Jerry's really good at that, so I think we'll be all right.
I do need to talk to you about some of that stuff Josiah wants done. He can't find anybody to do it. Mom and pop people that don't have the insurance to be able to be in the building. So
The liability.
everybody's booked up. All the contractors.
Yeah, they said, I mean, I've been having a hard time getting plumbers to do work. They're like 3 to 4 weeks behind. You know, and all of them, it's not just one of them, all of them are pretty busy right now, which is unbelievable for Cortez, I would think. I mean, you know, we're building that much.
And they're making up to $120 an hour.
Plumbers are?
Yeah, 110 is about average. To me, using common sense, the electrician gets 80, it can kill you. And the plumber gets 110, it just makes it smell bad in your house. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, that's what, when I first came aboard, that's what I had a problem with, was that we were paying the plumbers hourly more than we were paying electricians. You know, and that's why we just got rid of all the contractors, and we're just gonna do it that way, so.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's crazy, it really is. I don't have nothing else.
I'll try to get in touch with you this afternoon, maybe.
Yeah, we need to get a hold of.
Plumber's license.
No, I'm too old for that.
Well, so then I had a plumber, and he was just complaining. They call the inspector the plumber Nazi
The plumber,
because he won't get anything finalized, and was just so upset. And I said, well, and he said there's not enough plumbers going around, and I said, well, wasn't all of you plumbers for that plumbing inspection when they, you know, they wanted to do the electrical plumb, but it was the plumbers and I said, didn't you say you voted for that? And he said, well, yes, I voted for that. And I said, well,
here it is.
maybe
Here it
you got
is.
what you wanted.
Here it is.
Now they're gonna complain.
Wasn't what they wanted.
All right, thank you.
Okay, all right,
Keep going, Mike.
after.
Keep going.
Okay, I see we have Clinton Wilson here. Give us the annual report. So come on up. Good to see you, Clinton.
Morning, Clint.
Morning.
How are you?
Good to see you.
Can see.
You've got a new shirt since I saw you last. Yeah.
You got a new boss too,
Yep.
Sally Clark.
Oh, that's right. I saw that. Yeah, I saw that Sally's put in for that. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So what have you been doing?
All kinds of stuff.
All kinds of stuff. Let's hear it.
Yep. So you saw me at the Ag Expo. I worked there and gave out information to people. And then I've been doing a bunch of coyotes. In the spring, they're really bad. They just kill calves all over. So I had to work really hard in the spring to get up with that. And then in the summer and stuff, it's beavers mainly, clogging up ditches and stuff. So I've been trapping them. And then there's a couple mountain lions that my brother and I went and got down towards the Sleeping Ute down there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Down
then-
McElmo, was that down McElmo or?
Yeah,
was that
down McElmo.
McElmo.
And then here lately there was a call. Coyote got a little dog. The guy, he turned his dog out and the coyote ate it. So,
Did you get the coyote?
not yet. I'm going to get it probably tonight. So
How many calls did you have in Montezuma County last year? Do you know, Clint?
I don't know exactly, but there's been a few. But I think if we could, and we need to figure out a way to get out more information because they usually call like the Division of Wildlife or my brother, and then they get my number. So
So you don't? They don't have a direct line to you necessarily.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think at the Ag Expo helped that a little bit. I got it out there a little bit.
I'm wondering if getting your information to the dispatch center,
Yeah.
I mean, is that probably where people call in when they have an issue?
I don't know. I would guess that would be I don't know if they'd call CPW or the dispatch. Depends on how much of an emergency, I guess it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I could help more people.
Yeah.
What about foxes? I see them everywhere.
Or they're all over the place.
Somebody asked me about that the other day. Foxes, I can shoot them too. They're causing problems. So.
Do they
They
get,
eat prairie dogs. I like them.
They
I got
eat
two
kitty
of them.
cats too.
Well, feral cats they ought to eat a few of those feral cats. I'm kind of for that. Too damn many wildcats out there. I don't have any pheasants left anymore. I'm not kidding you. Out there, when I moved out there, that property Mary Jane Millard's there were pheasants, I mean, all over that place. I'd see them every day. I've seen one rooster in the last 3 years out there. Is all I've seen. They're plumb gone. Plumb gone.
But the foxes eat the pheasants.
Do they?
Yep.
And the eggs.
Yep.
Oh, so those crows. Them crows treat them pheasants just like they do them sage grouse. They get down there and chase them right off the nest and eat their eggs. And, I'm more worried about them crows than I am than foxes.
Because you like them. I don't know, them foxes are pretty amazing. I seen one on the top rail of my corral the other day.
Walking right down it, huh?
Yeah. How in the world did it get up there 6 foot, and how in the world did it walk down that thing?
They're pretty agile, man.
Yeah.
You ever seen one of them jump straight in the air? Yeah, I bet they can jump 4 foot straight in the air, just right off the ground. You can jump straight up in the air, man.
the contract that they sent us on this,
Yeah.
is it for a certain amount of hours that you give to Montezuma County, or do they allocate and say, you get 25% of your time, 50% of your time to Montezuma County? How does that work?
So yeah, like the thing I sent you there is all for Montezuma County.
Mm-hmm. So what percentage of time does
You
that
cover
cover?
a pretty broad range, don't you? You cover
Yeah.
what? Montezuma, La Plata, Dolores, and what else?
I just cover Montezuma, and then I cover over in Alamosa too, but I get paid separate for over.
Oh, so
Alamosa.
you're just Montezuma when you're here. You're just in Montezuma County.
Yep. Then I help my brother in La Plata and stuff, but mainly just Montezuma.
I can't remember. Did you give a presentation at the Cattlemen's Association banquet last year? Have you ever did that?
Yeah, I did it with Jory and can't remember.
This
Pat Chick, Jonathan.
That's right.
My brother and I gave a presentation there.
Your brother has the same position in La Plata County as you got here?
Yeah. Yep, and Jory and Jonathan wanted us to come give a presentation there, so we did.
Do you have an estimate of about how many animals? So what we're trying to do is we have
Yeah.
a shortfall in our budget. We're
Yeah.
trying to figure out how much work you do here. Like how many coyotes have you killed? How many calls have you been to? That kind of information is what we're looking
I
for.
know. My boss was gonna print all that off, but he didn't get the deal. The computer thing wasn't working today. But I'd say I've killed like over 100 this year. And then there was a bunch in the spring that were bugging the guy there, killing his calves, and I went and set snares there and caught like 4 or 5 there. So that helped him out because he went from losing like probably 3 calves a week to 0. So
Where was that? Where
in Mancos,
In
right by
Mancos.
Mancos, yeah. And he was just overrun with coyotes.
Mhm.
Do you have to deal with bears, or is that Division of Wildlife, or how does?
Yeah. So the Division of Wildlife deals with some of them, but then if they can't deal with it, because all they do is set live traps, and if they can't deal with it, they'll call my brother and I. And we'll use our hounds to catch them. So mainly when they're killing livestock, they'll usually call us because their live traps don't really cut it.
Do you think you could tell your boss to get us that information before we do our, because we're doing our budget here, just it's coming up.
The next few weeks.
Yeah, we'd like to see those numbers.
Could you have him send those numbers, email them to Melissa so we can look at them?
Yeah.
How many lions have you got?
I know
County.
in the county, I know I got one for sure down there, and then can't think of any other right now, but there's that one. And then there's one that's kind of causing problems down there right now, that if it kills livestock, then I'll go down there and catch it too.
You catch them or you shoot them?
Catch them with the hounds, and then whatever the game wardens want to do, they want to shoot it or move it. Usually if it kills livestock, we kill it though. If you move it, it'll just kill another place.
How do they tell? I mean, how can they tell? They make that determination to let it,
I
to
mean,
move it
what
or
killed
to,
it, or?
No, I mean, how can they tell if a lion has killed something, sheep or whatever?
By the way, the animal's been
Yep.
killed.
Yeah, so they'll drag it over and bury it.
Oh, okay. So by
And
the
then,
behavior.
and then we just start from the kill, and they'll catch their right lion.
Okay.
But normally, if a lion kills something, it'll bury it.
They don't eat them.
They eat some of it, but then they bury most of it, and then they come back.
Save it for later.
Yep. If a bear kills it, it just rips it apart right there. And coyotes bite the throat, and then if it's dogs, they just bite it all over.
You can tell what happened to the kill.
Yep.
It's all about
Yep.
the evidence.
Yep.
How many dogs do you use?
I've got 4 right now. My brother's got like 8 or 9. He's got a whole bunch. I got 4 good ones, and that's mainly all it takes.
Do you have any logos on your vehicle?
Just the plates.
Just trying to figure out how to get the word out better.
Yeah.
We're not doing a very good job of getting it out there. I know the cattleman's is good, but
Yeah.
I need to be sitting down there by Bonnie at the weed department. She seems to know how to advertise pretty good.
Yep, and I can go to the sale barn too, maybe, and give out cards if anybody wants them too.
That would be a good spot.
Okay.
They got a good lunch too there.
Yeah.
Best in town on Wednesday, I can tell you that.
So yeah, I can do that, and then that way I can help more people and stuff, and then
Okay.
I'm just trying to figure out how to try to, I don't know, through the Division of Wildlife, does that go to Denver and then gets rerouted? And what kind of time frame does it take from the time a person calls to actually get something done?
normally they call the Durango one, and then they'll call
Okay.
me. But sometimes, yeah, they are a little slow, and so, like if it's a lion kill, I have to be there right on the dot, or else.
Do
A lot
those
of times
calls
they'll
usually
back.
come to you, Sheriff? Is there a way you could help us with this?
Generally, they go to the Montrose
Oh.
State Patrol Dispatch.
Oh, really?
Too far from wildlife, yeah. I'd like you to come and meet with us, and maybe we can have a training session with our deputies, and maybe able to help with that.
All right, did you hear that?
Yeah.
That sounds like a good idea.
Please, I wish you would, yeah. Maybe the right thing to do to help out.
Okay.
There you go.
Get the right people in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Good deal. Do you have some cards? Do you have a card you can give him?
Yeah, I got some in my truck.
Okay.
When you come to the sale barn, come around, be there at 1 o'clock. I'll
Okay.
put you out there in the ring, and I'll introduce you to 200 people every week if you want.
Okay.
Anything else, commissioners? Thank you, Clint. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and sometimes I get worried about my hours too, and then I can't do as much as I want.
Well, we want our $16,000 worth is all I can tell you.
But you're getting it now.
All right, thank you. All right, we have the sheriff still. He's gonna have Steve Nowlin here. He's gonna give us the sheriff's monthly report.
Yeah, I got one problem. Thanks, Steve.
We got 99 more to do.
Excuse me, I gotta find your other report.
Should have been attached to that.
Let me find it.
Did they get the revised budget proposals that we did? If not, I have them on this.
Okay,
To display.
I'll share with
Okay.
them.
Lord, quite a bit.
You got a revised budget, Steve?
Yeah. Several in there. Oh, Lord, dealing with some bad numbers. So got that straightened out.
Oh, you did? You had some incorrect stuff?
Yeah. So it's better now.
There's,
We can leave that up there. At least it shows what we've collected on sheriff's fees and whatnot for the month of October and in the jail.
I think I've got that one. Is that 13,450?
Oh, no, it's more than that. These are all the fees that were collected.
this month was a big month, I think, with some of the grants.
Yeah.
Payment on the grants. It's hard to read. I have a hard time.
Yeah, those are grants. Do the next one, or one that's before that. It shows the fees that were collected for the month of October, including the jail fees and pretrial services and all of the sheriff's fees. There you go. What the totals were. So that's helped quite a bit. Paid my jailer still bringing money back from the past, so we're cleaning that up quite a bit.
You got what, Steve?
That paid my jailer that I started back in 2015
Yeah.
to go after the close to $300,000 of fees, booking, and fingerprint fees that were never collected. It's getting better. And in fact, we don't have the absconding that was going on as far as people not paying, and we have documentation now. The whole thing, so we're good to go. We need to go after them that way. It's easier to collect that way. So, but it's still bringing money in every week. You know, sometimes it's $40, sometimes it's $500 something.
Yeah.
So it just keeps adding up.
You got a lot of receivables out there, huh, man?
Yeah, they're coming in. Well, that's from past that goes into the general fund. So
yeah,
you know, those are good. As far as the jail numbers and stuff.
You want that other report?
Yeah. Show everybody where those numbers are at. Blow that up. Yeah, that's kind of tiny, isn't it? Well, that didn't work, did it?
The way that the way that it was scanned.
Well, they were bigger when I sent them. Somebody ate them in between.
They got wet and shrunk.
Well, let me help you out there.
Did you send that in a separate email?
Yeah.
I can't make it go any
Can't make
bigger.
it bigger. It's all right. I imagine if you will.
I told it to go bigger, but it doesn't.
Yeah, that's right.
That's not the same numbers that appear on this original sheet you have for the jail.
I mean the one you just saw, the projected
Yeah.
totals? No. I mean, some of them are added in, are in there, but no, this is separate. This deals
So this
strictly with the jail, with the municipality prisoner costs and what was collected for the month of October.
Can you tell them what that number is? I can't
Yeah,
read it.
it's a total of, the cost for prisoners was $158,190.92. And that's with the $54.39 fee. And then what is collected is on the sheets before that show what was actually totally collected, which was $13,450 from the city of Cortez. DOC paid 12 at $652. So you can see those.
Hold for parole, $39.70. Hold for Dolores.
Yep. And so there's monies that were billed out. It's over 23,000. $23,823.15.
And money's paid to the general fund, $94,446.
Right, just for the month of
October.
Wow. Let's see.
I thought you were gonna raise your daily fees.
I did.
It's showing $150 in here.
150. No, it's $54.39.
I mean, not
Yeah.
150, $50.
And I don't know why that hasn't been changed, but that went into effect November 1st. And those figures are right.
Well, and this is through the month of October.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, this
so,
is just October. It goes into effect November.
So in the next report.
So the one
it
that I
should
just
be-
showed you before, right? Those fees went up to the state fees. Everybody's paying the same. I'd like it to be more, that's for sure.
Well, we just need to get a plan of progressively making that.
Exactly.
Where we get to recoup our costs.
Did you help with that? You bet.
Yeah.
Let's start thinking about how to keep that up.
Right.
We may be getting some assistance from the state as well. I think they're going to take some action in this legislative session, from what it sounds like, from the testimonies that we gave this spring.
So some of their fees may be changing as well,
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah. So that'll help bring it about.
Yeah.
It's a little hard when the state's paying so much and then you're charging the municipalities more. It's not. But still, I mean, the costs are there.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
are. We are, well, we're actually lower the last couple of weeks. We've been in the upper 70s to low 80s per day. That's not bad. That's pretty good. But I'm wondering if that's just not the calm before the storm, like what happened last winter. When the temperatures drop, these numbers come up because people that are coming into the area get into trouble and they end up in the facility. And so our numbers go up.
You think the weather generates that
A
somewhat?
lot of it does, yeah. A lot of it does. A lot migrate from up north in the Telluride area down south.
Oh, I got you.
Kind of like the deer and elk every year. Yeah, they migrate. So,
The migration.
They do. They do. But yeah, this was a copy that I sent out to all of the Dolores County Sheriff and all the municipalities. That's a copy that shows the increase in what our data showed as far as inmate cost per day, and where it ranged, like what I showed you earlier this year.
Did you get a response?
Oh yeah, they're all fine. Yeah, they're good with it, and I think that helps a lot.
That's a good letter. You explain. I mean,
Yeah.
the numbers tell the tale.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
they tell the tale. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but everybody got the same letter.
Yeah, everybody treated equally.
And it went fine. So, and I'm also going to leave you with a copy of the Dolores contract. That'll be up for renewal at the end of the year. Not that it's changed, but I'll let you pass that on and down to John so he can look at it too. The Dolores Town Board will get this tonight and either pass the resolution or not. It
Did
sounds like
anything
it will.
change in this contract with them, Steve? You're
Not-
satisfied that you're being
Yeah.
well paid for what you're doing?
Yep, we are. We're doing just fine. And they've helped out by, by paying these deputies to cover the unincorporated areas up in the northeast. So it helps quite a bit. And they pitched in with several costs on new computer for that substation and the whole bit. So everything's going better.
Where's your substation located?
Right there at the town hall
At the
on
town
the west
hall.
side of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so these two deputies are paid 70% by the town of Dolores and then 30% through the LEA because they're post-certified officers.
Sheriff, before I forget, we had a meeting down there at Sand Canyon for that proposed parking lot, and one of the things that was brought up was law enforcement, and it was brought up about your horse patrol in the spring or in the fall. Has that ever been something that you guys have discussed where they go down there every once in a while?
Haven't yet. Haven't ever really been approached with that.
Because there's signage down there that there's $100 fine for parking on the road right away.
Yeah, there is. We put those up
Yeah.
with Rob in the road department a couple years ago, a year or so ago.
A lot of the, seems like that the people that live closely there to the Sand Canyon access point have a lot of problem with trespassers.
They're impacted a lot.
Yeah, so it might behoove us especially in the springtime, and I don't know about the fall. It wasn't very busy when we were down there the other day, but in the springtime when that place really amps up,
it really does.
It might, until we get some kind of motion on these parking lots and some extra parking down there to.
Yeah, we can certainly do that. We were sending, and the deputies will go down there as much as they can and enforce that parking in the springtime. Early summer is always the biggest impact for that area, and that's where we have to go out and remind everybody. Usually with citations. Sometimes now, I mean, the warning time is over. The signs are there.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not hard, but it does affect the road maintenance and everything too, because those fellows are down there in the spring working those bar ditches and everything too. So
and just the traffic through there.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, it's always, and it's picking up. I mean, it is, and I've got a second radar trailer, so now we have two of the new ones that I got, and we're going to have those out a lot more in the counties to help alleviate some of the traffic complaints and issues that we have. Speed is number one, the biggest problem.
Does that take pictures of license plates?
It can, but
is that
they
a
don't.
good thing?
Everybody thinks it does. Now you've let the cat out of the bag. Okay. Thanks a lot. All right.
Well,
they were really. Everybody sees them and does really good. Okay.
The reason I ask is we get tickets from people who drive our cars on E470.
Oh yeah.
And it's based on the license plate and such a day. So we track down who was driving the car and who skipped the toll and who was speeding, that kind of thing. It comes off of that. So
no, it doesn't take pictures like that, and we don't send out summonses in the mail for that. I think those are issues that we want to tackle. But what it does collect is it collects so much data now with these new radar trailers that I get the date and time, the weather conditions, the traffic total numbers for directions, their speeds, minimum and maximum.
We can do road counts with that. You can give us road counts.
Yeah, I mean, it works really well.
Hey, that's something you ought to let Rob know that.
Yeah.
Where you place those out there can be a great road counter.
I came upon these earlier this year at the Western State Sheriff's Conference, and they come out of California, and they're very reasonable and really up-to-date technology. And and they're really designed for anti-theft. You can't steal them. We can take the tongues off the whole bit. I mean, you can't. It doesn't prevent somebody from vandalizing or had too much to consume either marijuana or alcohol and run into it. But hopefully that won't happen. But it does help, especially in those problem areas. We've seen that time and time again that it really does, and it gives us an idea too of where the high traffic hours are at. That's what we really needed, instead of relying on people calling and telling us, what times the issues are on what roads. This is a whole lot better, and so there's other things that can be added to that. And yeah, cameras is one of them, but we're not doing that. I think that you've seen the issues with traffic cameras for red lights and whatnot. It creates issues. We want to make sure that it's the person that is committing the violation is the one that's contacted, not the owner of the car. That's the difference. Okay. On the toll road on E470, it's different. It's the vehicle.
Yeah.
It's the vehicle owner that's responsible, not who's driving it.
There was that big ordeal in Phoenix, Arizona, where you have to have two drivers, and the guy was driving in a
OHB?
monkey suit. Yeah, he was driving in a monkey suit, and then they went to court. He's like,
It was the monkey driving.
Monkey driving. It wasn't me.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
Well, I don't know
they
why
were
you'd go to court.
putting, dummies and things like that in the passenger seat.
Oh, yeah.
For
Yeah. Pretty soon you're gonna have to have a pulse meter on every occupant of the car. Let's make sure it's a live person, yeah.
And with today's, they could just say, well, I'm gender neutral.
Yeah, no kidding. So, anyway, moving on. This is the revised,
Did we get this,
proposal.
Melissa?
I don't think I sent it to, I can
Yeah.
forward it to you. Do you know what, it made a difference on the bottom line?
Oh,
Do you
yeah,
know?
it did.
Do you know how much? I couldn't
didn't.
tell you.
I looked at it before I came and I didn't remember exactly what that was, but it was close to 80,000 or better, something like that.
80,000.
Yeah. And the same way with detentions is lower.
Is that first number the 2000?
This is 15 right
15.
here. This is the
That's 17, that's the
addition,
increase.
and this is
And
the
this is the
18.
18 proposal.
In the detention one,
Yeah.
the columns are a little bit different.
And keep in mind the permanent or the replacement cost line item for vehicles. I mean, that's been constant, and so I don't believe that that's a true number that increases that every year. And so that's something that I don't know. I pretty much pace this to where it's 3 vehicles are replaced a year right now. And I've held off intentionally for so long until just last month when I ordered the 3 trucks that are should be at the dealership this week that will go and get outfitted, those 3 pickups to replace those higher mileage ones and some of the interceptors so that we can look at what we're going to have to deal with to get rid of those vehicles. And that's really what I'd like to do. And they're even the interiors are starting to come apart for just being in the sun.
But
It's crazy.
the number for the replacement, where it came from, is the number of vehicles that you have and coming up with replacing everything in 6 years and trying to guess what the cost of replacement
Exactly.
is. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
So that's why you're saying that the number, in your opinion, that doesn't line
Yeah,
up.
it's been that way every year, so just understand that that's added to that budget. That I don't know, I mean, that's not what it costs for replacing 3 vehicles a year. It's only $40,000 a vehicle, and I'm getting them fully equipped. So, that's the best deal. Chevrolet now is wanting to beat Ford's deal. It's kind of funny to see because they started out being really high, and now they're really wanting to sell us vehicles. So the big thing is the quality of the vehicle is important. So just because the price comes down doesn't mean that you're going to be getting something that's going to last the way we want it to last. I would like to see them last for 8 years if we can. And where there's no reason why these Ford pickups can't do that. And it costs less to maintain them. That's the nice thing about it. So,
and once we know that those vehicles could last 8 years instead of 6 years too, then that makes less money we have to put in the replacement cost.
exactly. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they'll last longer.
So, And then with the, I spoke with Melissa, I think you guys got the word, I hope, on the body cameras.
No, I didn't share
Okay,
that.
we're not gonna go with what we talked about as far as taking them out. I'm not gonna mess with that. Now that the numbers are right in the casino contract, that from the pretrial management program, being taken out of pretrial instead of out of the casino where it should have been. It was just a numbers confusion thing. So there's enough money in there that I can, if we need to, I
Buy
can
the
pay
cameras?
for all of that. Yeah, I can pay for those body cameras all out of that contract. All 5
But are you
years.
still pursuing going forward buying them?
Yeah, I'm looking at that. I want to see. The thing is that I don't want to add to any part of the budgets where I don't need to. So if this contract will pay for that, and it will, that's the way to go. That way it's not affecting anything. And there's more than enough money that should be carried over into next year in that in the sheriff's casino contract to pay for that. All 5 years, all at once. So
We could use
that's what
that in
I'm
the
looking
general
at.
fund.
I know you could, and I'm saving you, see? See? Come on now. Look.
Well, we're in a pickle. We've got, how much? 1 point something?
The original was $2,090,000. As I was working on the adjusted health insurance and additional positions, and when I took those out, we're down to 1.5.
Not much of it, yeah.
Yeah, we got a big hole to fill. A big hole.
Not for sure how to do it.
Yeah, we're not. Ain't any easy answers to that.
No, there
When your
there generally
revenues are
isn't.
off that much, boy, I'll tell you what, it's
Yeah. Well, and bringing them back into that required amount is helping a bunch. It is. Even on the sheriff's proposal, if that our biggest thing is the resources. Reducing those costs in the overtime is going to help tremendously. I mean, on my part, not on the big picture scheme, it won't, but in these budgets it will. And being able to manage that and not add things to that, like this equipment and stuff. It's not mandatory yet that our officers have to have body cams. It's not yet. So why do we want to add something to a year that we're already thin? So I'm okay with waiting, and if I can pay for it another way, I will, without using general fund dollars. And that's really what I'm looking at, and that's how I've purchased a lot of things that is actually helping here, is by not using those general fund dollars and putting them where it needs to
But
go.
Steve, what we're looking at, our general fund, what you've asked for in your budget is
Yeah.
way above and beyond what our general fund's gonna support. I mean, granted, you can do some maneuvering within other areas of your operations to handle some things, but where we're getting kicked in the head is in the general fund, and
Yeah.
you're asking for the general fund is up a bunch.
Well, the thing is that these costs don't, I mean, the cost for doing business doesn't seem to go down that much.
Yeah.
We can shave costs like I have in certain
Yeah.
things, but there's other areas that you can't. If I don't have the people to fill in those slots, I have to pay people overtime, and that's time and a half, where I'd rather not do that. That's, and I don't want to lose the money that we have invested in these people already. That's the thing. Because we always get behind when we do. And
We're behind.
Well,
We're behind.
You know,
I mean, what I was hoping to see is some more efficiencies where you can take your operations and trim or fine tune or something and get
some areas I have been able to,
because we're going to have to.
Yeah.
We can't operate at $1.5 million budget short. I mean, there's no way we can do that.
Yeah.
There's no way we can.
Well, I
do
understand that, and if you look at the expenditures, what's being spent is what's required to be spent in those
Yeah,
areas, not anything else.
Where's the administrative assistant coming in? Where do you ask for a new administrative assistant?
The one FTE on the sheriff's side, yes.
For what position is
That goes into managing all those programs and grants as well.
Who's doing that now?
Right now, it was a part-time, and the fees that we're getting through the JAG grant for next year will go into that line item to actually pay for half of that salary for that person. So that's the thing is that I only have a certain number of people, and we're doing so much already. If it doesn't happen, then I have to utilize the best I can with what I got.
What I need to know, what are the essential services that, what's essential and what's maybe
Exactly.
superfluous stuff that you're doing. Stuff that.
Oh, I'm not doing anything that shouldn't be done. The thing, I'm not adding to it. I've taken away some of those grant fundings because I don't have the people to do them. Like the DUI, some of the DUI enforcements and the checkpoints and that. We don't have the people to do that, to pay for that. The money's there, but I just don't have the people to do it. So why ask for that and go into a grant if you can't?
Right, and you go into a grant and fund something, and then the grant goes away, and then you're still left with the cost of operating them. And
people get used to a certain. With the grant, it's a startup, something to give somebody new stuff, and then people get used to it, and then when it's no longer funded, then they still expect you to provide that service, whatever that service is.
Well, as far as the education in the detention center, that's been a big plus, and I funded it through the existing funds that I have this year, and that'll continue. But I'm saving in that quite a bit in the professional services side, because that grant was awarded, but it doesn't come in until January. So, I mean, there isn't any of those additional costs that are coming out of the general fund. And the fees that are being brought in just from the sheriff's fees and whatnot are actually offsetting some of those costs. And, it looks bad this way, but if you look at what's being brought in by those other fees and those grant fundings that are taking care of some of those, it's not as bad, and a lot of those funds stay within the general fund or return.
Well, I need to see the numbers where they're washing each other out. I mean, that's because what I'm looking at here is an increase to our general fund cost of the general fund, and I guess I'm not seeing. And maybe you and Melissa can show us how those programs and those things you're doing continually offset your costs in your budget proposal, where they start washing each other out, or where one's paying for. I mean,
what we tried to do with the grants and things like that.
What I'm seeing is cost of the general fund. I'm not seeing where you're recapturing or recouping monies from that.
Well, look at the grants and the returns as well.
Well, I understand, but I'm looking at the numbers there, Steve, and we're adding 2 administrative assistants and 2 deputies and
one.
Okay, I see 1 on top. Admin.
That's in the permanent salary. You have to include that in there, in the permanent salary and in the fringe benefits. Okay. If the 2 additional deputies come in, I wouldn't need 10,000 additional to have in the bank just to cover. I wouldn't need that, just like I did in the jail.
Yeah.
Okay, that wouldn't be there.
Yeah. Okay, I understand that.
Okay.
You're going to spend what, 340,000?
That's fringe benefits.
That's fringe benefits.
Right there.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're adding
20,000
to save 10.
Well, I mean, you have to. They're entitled to benefits.
I understand that. I understand that. But we're saying to the bottom line of the budget, you're adding 20,000 to get 10 back. And when you're in a budget deficit, those numbers don't work.
Okay. Well, all I can tell you is that the asked for amount there is what I'm seeing those costs increase in telephone and professional services and food. And all of those things in those areas are increasing the cost that it costs for us to provide for that. And that's where those increases. Now, if there's no additional FTEs, then you take that out. You take that 20,000 out. You take those salaries amounts out.
You said your food budget's increasing by how much?
It's like 10,000.
10,000?
Yeah. I have to budget for maximum capacity for 365 days. 3 squares a day. And so those food costs do increase some. I just want to have that buffer. I was able to cut that last year. It looks like it's going to go up over that 100, that 10,000 that I cut. I'm just asking for that buffering in there. Doesn't mean that that's what's going to actually be spent, but if those costs go up, how can I pay for that? You see what I'm saying? I'm trying to look at it realistically, and that's what I've done.
So are we.
I understand.
So are we.
I understand. Okay, I do, and that's where having more of these talks and showing you where those expenditures are at is real important. It really is, so that you have a better understanding of where those costs are at and the reasons why we're asking for a little buffer in those areas of that. Now, is it more?
Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what a budget is. It's not drawing that.
I understand
Okay.
that.
Okay.
I wish, and I know the budget is our job, and we have to balance the budget.
Yep.
I wish we could
So,
get all of our department heads in the room
I do
and
too.
say,
I do
which
too.
I know this wouldn't work, but
Well, would with me.
get them,
I'll
get
work
all of
with
them in
it.
the room and
Yeah.
say, okay, we've got to have this work session, and when we leave this room, we have got to give the commissioners a balanced budget.
Yep.
And
I'll help with that. No problem. I
And
just need to
it's
show
not
you.
going to be what are you going to add, or it's going to be where
No.
you're going to cut.
well, everybody would have to be going back and forth and say, well, this
Yeah.
is so important to me,
Yeah.
and well, maybe I could, I don't know how it would work, but all I know in the end, we have to balance it, and
Mhm.
Right.
we might cut something that you guys might disagree with that could have been cut somewhere else.
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't know if that, has that ever been done before? Is that even realistic, or is that as pie in the sky?
I
Or,
would love to have those budget talks. I really would.
I mean, I don't know.
I think that would help tremendously.
Do you want to set something up later this week?
Well, I
For
don't know if it's a
mean,
good idea or not.
I don't
That's
know
what
if
I'm
it is
asking.
or not. I mean, because it's interesting. I mean, I can go back to, we have the 2% increase in there when we take, if we take that out, we've got the health insurance. The one thing I did do over the weekend when I came in is looking at the health insurance. With that adjusted health insurance, instead of $207,000 increase, it's
Because you
$152,000.
got them down to 8.5%
Right.
increase instead of.
So that's helpful, but, you know, even with this and then taking out the extra positions that people ask for, we're at a $1.5 million deficit right now.
So that's not helping that much.
Well, I mean, it
Yeah,
helped
I know.
$500,000,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
but we still got 5 times to go. And I don't know how we're gonna do, I'm at a loss for knowing where to even start.
Well, we're going to do it because we
Yeah,
have to
we're,
do it.
we don't have a choice.
But, yeah.
And I
We
don't
don't
know
have
if
a
we
choice.
end up doing budgets and say, this is the budget that you get. What can you do with this? You know,
Well,
I don't,
You know, when you're in a shrinking economy, everything else shrinks with it. Okay, that's just the long and short of it. And you know, hate to say this, but when you don't have the revenues, when the revenues are not coming in, we don't get to play around with that stuff. I mean, that's the long and short of it. When your revenues are down that much, the whole operation gets to suffer. Because I mean, to me, that's the long and short of it.
and I will say on the revenue piece of this too, trying to guess, because I do try to take into effect what the people do bring in. You know, the sheriff's office brings in sheriff's office budget $232,000. That's what, you know, that's the actual of what they've got, what they did in 16, and that's, I don't know if that's realistic or not, but it's the best number
Well,
that we
but
have.
we
you
need to
know.
have those numbers, that's
See,
right.
these numbers right here, you know, it was 405,387, but that might have been part of the time when we had the grants.
Grants and stuff.
Mixed in with the sheriff's budget. So we
Right.
do have, we're trying, these sheriff's grants, it obviously does. See, there's
You
nothing
have
right
to,
there.
yeah, there you go.
So we've separated that out so that the grants are covering themselves, and that makes it easier because we get to the end of a grant and Wanda and Kendall and I probably spent between all of us at least
A lot of
8 to 10 hours each trying to get this to match, one grant to match, that we got everything in the right places. So we really are trying to make sure that the expenditures match those pieces. So we do, I mean, if they have more grants, there's more expenses, but those things zero out. So we're trying not to.
They come out of those funds. They don't come out of the general fund.
Right, right.
So, coming back on, I mean, if you're saying that you're seeing a decline in the economy, in some areas you're right. The thing is that the influx of the population and the crime doesn't match with that. It goes up.
I understand
And so if
that.
we cut public safety areas, that's putting everybody at risk. And we're going to see, as long as everybody's okay with understanding that we don't have enough to go around, then that's the way that it is. The problem is everybody's going to pay for it. And that's a shame. And we don't want that. I don't want that ever to happen. And we're doing the best we can with what we got. And we will continue to do that with whatever dollars you give me.
Yeah.
We will make it work. Okay? That's what my job is. And I'll make it happen. Okay? I may not like it, but the bad thing is that I know other people out there aren't going to like it either. But you know what? It is what it is. I understand, but I want everybody to understand that we're doing the best that we can with what we have. And I am cutting costs where they need to be cut. I have to anticipate some of those increases to pay for those things. And I mean, it's just if you know, I can reduce costs in fuel. I've added vehicle expenses and contracts and grants to help pay for that and offset those costs for those vehicle expenses. So it's there, and we'll utilize those every chance that we can to help pay for that, so none of that comes out of the general fund. And I keep it all separated. That's why I broke out these budgets into those different areas, so you can see exactly what comes into it and what goes out of it, and the way that it should be spent. So it's a lot better than what it was before. You had no idea where that money was going. Gee, many Christmas.
Well, we're finally getting,
it was driving me nuts.
getting our hands wrapped around how all of these things interact, and I appreciate Melissa and Wanda and Kendall doing that, so that we know what are grants, how they wash,
I can't live in it without everything being balanced right. I know I want to know where every dime goes, and I do. Okay, every day, and so I need to know where those are at and what may be happening next year. But I know that reducing those costs in a lot of areas depends on what kind of equipment and whatnot you have and the people. The vehicle expenses are, I think we cut quite a bit in there as far as usage for that fleet. I'm still waiting to see that final report from him though, but you know what? We saved. We did. He's got a lot more money that was given to him that'll be going back into the
We haven't
general
had as
fund.
many wrecks, I don't believe either.
No, heck no.
We had
Yep, I know. Tell me about it, all right?
Lawsuits are down,
Drives
which
me
is
nuts.
another good thing. I mean,
Yes.
we truly
Okay.
appreciate that. So.
I can't stand that. It reflects on all of us.
Sure it does.
Okay. And that's something that we strive. And the training dollars, they're spent, and I get more of those dollars back from the state now. So that's actually going to go right back. It goes right back in to that training line item. What's not spent and what has not been planned for, all of that goes right back to the general fund. Okay. So we are saving and bringing more money back. That's one of the things that I find is helping. I'm doing my part. I'll do more wherever I can. I will.
Yeah.
And I'm not asking for the moon.
Would it not be a good idea, as Larry Don suggested, to bring in the department heads and the elected officials and sit down and everybody's going to have to cut something or forego something. If everybody knew what everybody else was having to do with the same thing, would that be a good idea? I don't
Yeah,
know.
well, I think that it's important to have budget discussions and stuff. It really is. Everybody needs to be putting stuff out on the table so you see what's going on and discussing those things. I've asked for that and I want your input constantly, okay?
You
But
like that idea,
I
Kim?
need you to know.
I do like that idea. I think each department head and each election official can tell you what their priority is, and then they can actually do that or send your budgets back to them and say, you need to cut this amount, figure out where,
Yeah.
and have them come back to you. That's just my thinking.
This week?
I think it would be worth a try.
What do you guys have on tap for this week?
I'm tied up on Friday.
I have an afternoon meeting tomorrow, and that's late tomorrow.
I mean, I think, would we want this probably,
Are
for
you
this
going up
first
there
one,
this
just to
weekend?
be the general fund?
Probably so.
For that part,
Well,
you
I
know,
missed
to
it.
keep
What did you say?
just the general fund people, so road and bridge and landfill, those are not included.
No, those
I
are
mean,
not.
because we're trying to deal with
Right.
this million and a
Yeah,
half
road
right
and bridge
here.
is different kettle of fish. And the landfill is too.
Because I can do some preliminary stuff before, I mean, as we meet too. I mean,
Yeah.
taking out the additional request for higher salaries here, there, those little small things. It's going to help some. I just pulled up right here, for instance, this is the miscellaneous category, and these right here are all the new people that ask for money.
Yeah.
And when this 92,000, that's $92,000 more than the budget for last year. Each one of these, we did the 10% decrease last year.
Yep.
So you'll see 4 States Ag Expo, that's 10% of the 2,500, you know, 2,250. Here's $350 on Teen Maize. One of the things that we have up here too, Firewise always ask for an amount, and we've been giving them half. So I mean, so there's some easy things, you know.
And
in
did you
here.
say that, does this distinguish between new request and
Yes.
previous? It does? Where is
Right
it? Because I
here.
couldn't, I know that Mancos Conservation District is.
See, this is all new. This is the budget, and this is how much
Okay,
of a
I
change.
gotcha.
So there's the High Desert Conservation asked for 7,500. Last year got 6,750. So they're asking for 3,250. That's the 10% plus their additional $2,500. And see this one right here. That's a brand new request. Mancos Conservation District Homes Fund, $15,000, brand new. SBDC, brand new. Dwarf, brand new. So, I mean, if you can give me a couple of guidance, you know, include the 10% on the miscellaneous. I mean, we can probably cut 85,000 off this page. You know, so I can do a couple of those things in anticipation of this group meeting.
And you know, health department's funding is different, social
Yeah.
services is different.
Yeah.
Like everybody's kind of doing lots of different animals.
But I believe that obviously those other funds, which are not any elected officials, sorry, sir.
That's all right.
But I mean, so if we tell them we're not doing a raise, then they do the same thing. They get specific direction. I mean, they don't get a 12% increase while nobody else gets any. You know, they get the health insurance like everybody else has, but if there's not a 2% in the general fund, there's not a 2% in the road, there's not a 2% at the landfill, there's not a 2% in the health department or social services. So,
For this one, to me, it seems simple. I don't, if you don't have the money to pay what you had the previous year, why would you add any more?
You can't. You can't do it.
You can't. So
You can't.
I would take every one off that's requesting that's new, because
How do you do that? You can't do that. I'm in total agreement with you.
Let me ask, so can you go up to where you see
oops, sorry.
search and rescue and canine search and rescue? Those are in my budget anyway. Why are they there?
Well,
This, I know, I don't know.
We've never drawn from it.
The search and rescue, what they pay for this, or I know the Canine Search and Rescue, they pay their insurance. I think both of them pay their insurance from these funds here.
Okay.
Why? I don't know. I mean,
I don't know.
that's just, when we look at historical, that's what's always been there.
But he's saying it's in his budget, maybe they just pay their insurance.
Well, the thing is that I go after the state search and rescue grant funding for their training and their equipment, okay? And I'm awarded that amount that comes out of the search and rescue fund, okay? They manage that for me and I oversee that, but what I've asked for and what I've done is included both posse for paying for their time at special events, and search and rescue, which also shares that fund with Canine Search and Rescue. And so there's been no expenses that have come out of there from Canine Search and Rescue. Their training and dollars and everything come out of the state grant that I get for Search and Rescue, which is shared with Canine Search and Rescue. I don't know about insurance. I mean, I have to cover the United Search and Rescue, okay, with the airport and whatnot in those hangars, but I don't have anything to cover on Canine Search and Rescue.
So I don't know
So
what
I don't
these
know.
monies have been used for. I mean, like I said, historically,
I mean,
from at least 2012.
has there ever been any draw on those?
Yes, these are actual expenses.
That's what
These
we
are
send them
monies
every year.
that they've been given.
Wow. Thanks.
Search
I
and
could read this
rescue.
then.
So, I mean.
Well, that was actually very interesting. But by you sitting here, you've never seen that before.
No,
We just
I
learned
don't know.
something that all of us didn't know.
Yeah. Let's look at what the actual costs are and what we're paying for. Because I think there's a lot of numbers out here that really, I mean, they're there, but I don't know that it's ever utilized.
What is the model traffic code, sir?
Mount, I have not got a clue. Something that Lynette and Amber did something, and they got something, reports from the sheriff, and then we put money in a different account. And
I don't get it.
I don't know anything about it, and I'm
I don't
not
get
doing
it.
it.
I don't get
There
it.
you
Okay.
go.
All right. I don't get it. All right.
Yeah,
So-
that's,
So I guess if we
I shot
That's
my
gone.
knife
If
this
we-
morning.
Let's ask that and see what
drop it
happens.
off and see. It might be victims witness something. I
All
don't
of
know.
that comes out of surcharge from citations that are issued and those fees that are paid by those convictions or by paying those summonses.
But I
And
don't know
the
what they're
county
supposed to
gets-
pay for.
But it goes into the general fund. It doesn't go, we don't pay for that?
Well, there was something
We
that
shouldn't be paying
there
for
was a
that.
quarterly something that came from the sheriff's office that they wrote checks. I can tell you this 1209, 1187, 1005, something, I don't know where the money went.
but it hasn't been.
Who's writing the checks?
Something was sent to our office that says pay this.
Pay this amount.
But how recently has that been?
In 2016, there was 225. That's the last one.
And if you don't know,
I don't know.
anything about
That's,
it, I think
Why-
as Commissioner
why-
Tell said, it's gone.
well, why are you paying for things that should be in my budget? But I don't know what that is because I would ask that. And I've caught some of these things where somebody has asked for certain things from other state agencies that I knew nothing about. So I'm thankful that they called me.
Yeah.
See, I
Shut that
can-
off.
See, I like,
Okay.
this is not a good thing, red's not a good thing, but red's the number that says go away.
Yeah. They don't need that. And
Well,
don't
and
know
what
that
I
they're
can
getting it.
do, maybe what I could do with these two too, for the requests that came in, ask them to get in touch with you.
Yeah.
Um,
If Canine Search and Rescue, for example, I pay for their fuel if they're utilized on missions.
Mm-hmm.
It comes out of my budget.
Right.
I include all of those things in there, okay? And so it isn't just one thing that's in that line item. There's a lot of things that are in there, for example. So, yeah, if you guys are writing a check to them for that, I don't know why, but
They've just constantly always come for a donation for, I don't know what I don't know what they use it for, because they don't report back to us what that money's spent on. But I'm going to go with, historically we've been in a growing mode. If you go back and look at
You're right.
Property taxes in 2008, the county received about $4 million, I believe, in county funds. Now we were up to 8. Now we're kind of back down to 7. So somewhere we went from $4 million to $8 million just in county property taxes, most of which we can thank Kinder Morgan for. But we've also started spending from 4 million to 8 million more.
And construction is on the rise.
Yeah.
That's why you can't find a plumber or electrician.
I hope our
Okay.
assessor is able to, in this coming months, to go out and do her actual,
Hope so.
from what I understood, there's a lot of things that have gone on in this county in the last couple of years that are not on the assessor's rolls. And we had a
Well, I'm certainly paying my fair share. I sure wish everybody else would.
Well,
and
our
the
fair
whole thing
share
of it
went
is-
down. Our fair share went down from 7.9 to 7.2 on our homes, and that's $500,000 out of our general fund just in residential property tax.
Well, I got my valuation went up.
Not in your home, it didn't.
Yeah, it did.
It went up, but then when you get it,
But you did.
the
Your assessed value
valuation
may have
went
gone
up.
up, but your taxation's
But when
gone
you get
down.
the taxation, because it went from 7.96
Yeah, your
to
assessed value may certainly have
7.2.
gone up, Steve, but your taxation's gone down.
Melissa, as the chairman of the board, we're requesting that you give with the department heads and bring us a balanced budget by next week.
By Monday.
Where's the piece of paper?
By God, we can do that. That is a nice directive, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm just gonna make some enemies.
We'll sharpen
Wednesday
your
and
knife
Thursday
for you.
morning for me. They're
Okay.
available, but
So,
other than that.
are Wednesday or Thursday morning good for you guys?
I think they're good for me, either one.
Wednesday morning?
Wednesday or Thursday? Is there one that's better?
Anytime Wednesday or Thursday morning. for me.
Either one's fine with me.
The 15th, I've got I can, then just nothing until in the evening, so I'm good until Wednesday evening.
Thursday would be better for me, just to give me
Thursday
a little
works.
more time to try to.
Yeah.
I didn't find any appointments for Thursday.
That was him.
You weren't supposed to, huh? You weren't supposed to.
Okay,
You
I'll
wanna do
send
it Thursday
something out.
morning? Yeah, 'cause Thursday afternoon I'll be tied up.
Can I ask a question on the top of this? I don't know what the Kinder Morgan and underfunded column is at the top of your miscellaneous.
Miscellaneous?
Yeah.
There was a point in time when we had to, when we weren't sure if the Kinder Morgan, if we were going to win the lawsuit or not. So there was a time in there where we had budgeted that the money that we received, that we might have to pay it back.
Taxes
So-
we collected that we held in abeyance, not knowing if
So it
we were
was
gonna
in
be
the
able to
budget
keep
that we may have to pay that back, but when you actually look at the actuals, we had $500,000 in the budgets in there, the $700,000, the $800,000 that we received, but we didn't ever have to pay it back, so that's no longer a line item that's there.
We have a line item, and this year it's $30,000 in your miscellaneous.
In the miscellaneous one.
That you just looked at it.
Yeah, at the top of this.
That is
At the top
also
of this.
where,
Right there.
Cam unfunded.
right here.
Yeah. Well, I'm
And I'll have to go back and see what these at, because there's some actuals in there too. I'll have to go back and look. But,
Did we
that's,
pay like the lawyer out of that, or?
this 25, I know that this right here has to do with the assessor's budget with,
We had to pay that lawyer, right?
the lawyer or the,
There was some
software.
fee we had to pay.
And some of this
Could
is
have been
probably
software,
software
too, yeah.
too.
What's this stuff?
When we did that software,
Software.
update the assessors to connect them with the treasurer's office and Kim and the motor vehicle.
But in previous years, in the budget amount, this line item right here was 5, 6. I mean, at one time, I believe when I first came here, it was even $1.5 million in the budget, but it was never paid out.
Yeah.
Well, where'd that money go?
It's still the general fund. We
No,
still
it's not in the
got it,
general fund. It got put in. It got paid into the new courthouse because we
Yeah,
moved
that's
$3
right.
million
That's right.
from the general fund
Yeah.
to pay for the courthouse.
Yeah. Pay for your new neighbor.
Hey, it's your neighbor too. Your name's on that plaque.
We
Yeah,
say
but
that they're closer
you deal
to
with
you.
it a lot more than I do, Stephen.
Yeah, I spend a lot more time
Yeah.
there, okay?
Yeah. We won't argue that, and we're not gonna fight you for it either.
I know.
All right, well, we better.
Well, what time on Thursday?
What time do you guys want?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock? I'll send you an invite.
Oh, okay.
How much?
Can we come at 9 after you guys have already?
Decided what you're gonna do. No, you're gonna be here from the onset. Yeah.
How long do you want?
3 hours. 8 to 11.
The hard part, this computer is really hard to work on.
Yeah.
So whatever
Yeah,
I
it
can
does.
get done beforehand would be
Sure.
nice. It would be nice if we could all just cram right into my office where you could see the screens really
Yeah.
good, but
Yeah.
that is
Not the case.
unrealistic.
Yeah.
I'll do my best with this.
Well, maybe you just leave could we leave it open-ended?
But
on
tell
that
them to
quote,
plan
yeah.
on 3 hours, but
Yeah,
maybe
sure.
we'll get done before then.
Good.
Okay.
I just had to be gone by 1. We've got a board meeting, conference meeting, so.
Okay.
Okay, we'll see you
All right.
Thursday morning.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Steve.
Heard a number of comments about, gee, why don't we have a spring gardening series? That seems like it might be a good program. Or Jan, the Pinion Project is doing a series of nutrition programming or budgeting programming with some of their low-income residents. What can you provide to supplement those efforts? That's how I relied on my advisory board members to be the eyes and ears, to give me feedback of what they were seeing were the needs and issues that we could legitimately address using research-based information and translating that into informal educational opportunities. Did that answer your question? Okay.
Do you feel that regular meetings?
I think right now, based on my understanding of the state of affairs, that for at least the next 4 to 6 months, there needs to be regular meetings, yes. Once certain things are addressed and hopefully turned around and moving in the right direction, the direction that the purpose of extension is supposed to address in our local communities, then I think a quarterly meeting would be appropriate. However, I do believe that monthly communication of some form within the advisory board with the county commissioners, the county administrator, and the powers to be at CSU is an absolute must. That's my opinion.
Thank you.
Mr. Bain?
I suppose I gotta stand up. Well, Jan's pretty well said a lot of my thoughts. I was on the fair board one time. I was president of the fair board. I was president of Ag Expo. Was on the chamber, and you can't just have meetings to have meetings. You got to get something accomplished. You got to have some goals, some directions. And as Jan said, you look around here, things are seriously broken. A lot of it is there's too much no communication, and somebody wants to be in charge, or somebody should be in charge isn't in charge. So we just got to get the ground rules reestablished and get it done. And as several have said to me, the 17 years I've been here, there was 15 years I went to the 4-H sale along with everybody else, and there was a total wreck this year on communication. We can't have anything in the paper, and the finger pointing started, and that's the only example I'm going to. There's a whole lot more of them that's out here. We just need to work together and get the problem solved.
Ask the three of you, or four of you, really. Do you have any idea how many people you think should be on the board?
Me?
Oh,
I would say 7 or 9.
pardon?
7 or 9 is a good functioning.
7 to 9.
Yeah.
Odd number.
Odd number.
Like he said from CSU, when I was talking to him the hall out there, some counties had up to 12 board members on a board. I think at this point, and I agree with Jan, there needs to be a monthly meeting with some goals and get some stuff cut and dried, but you start trying to get 12 people together, it just is going to be an impossibility. You got people that ain't here today that's on the advisory board. And you had your meeting the other day, there was 2. So, keep the number small and let's be more efficient. And not be afraid to talk to the people in the community and let them bring their ideas to you.
Anybody else have an opinion? 7? That's what you think?
Yeah. How many is on your 4-H council?
Like as the council
Or your
Well, our 4-H council is structured by officers, but then each one of our 4-H clubs has 2 member representatives and 1 leader representative. So there's 21.
So that's a big group.
Voting for the group.
Okay.
For all of it. But that's to represent each individual club.
Should the 4-H council president be considered one of those members, or is that because that's a annually revolving position? Is that correct? You revolve annually out of there. Okay.
But I think you described it as that's one of the members. Is that right?
That's the way that the resolution that we passed, that's the recommendation that they gave us from CSU that other counties have used. And we can alter this resolution if need be, knowing that position's going to hold one of the positions. It may be a different person if she were, someone else were to be elected to that. But that she would have a voting
position on that. Gotcha. Okay.
So they recommended 12.
I said up
That's-
to 12.
up to.
They haven't got it right in a long time, so I don't, if we recommend 12, that doesn't hold water for me.
Volume isn't always the solution.
That's right.
And I think if it were, maybe later on, if it were functioning or things like that, a bigger board quarterly, when you're just monitoring and gathering information from the outside, a large one, maybe get more ideas that way, but when you got specific goals that you're trying to deal with, that's a lot of people.
I think there's so many things that needs to be fixed. You can't believe the phone calls that I've had. I was telling the commissioners earlier today how many phone calls I've had. 3 different people that don't know it. Well, 2 of them know each other, I guess. They said our 4-H has got too many rules. That once they started adding more, every fair board, if we keep adding all these rules, we start losing people. I mean, if the rules should be to where the kids, because they're for the kids, that the kids, they're simple enough that the kids can understand them. And so I don't know if that is part of this, but I think all those things are on the table for this board. do we have too many rules for these 4-H kids? Do we, should parents be involved with the control of the animals or not? There's so many things that need to be answered, and in my opinion, I don't want warm bodies for this board. I want people that are gonna speak up and be vocal about what they believe in so that we can get something done.
In reference to your too many rules is every year I was on the fair board, we ended up having a special meeting during each fair over livestock things. And then the next thing that happened is here come one more rule for the rule book. And then it was the interpretation of the rule of, 4-H is for the kids to learn, and you learn hands-on. Well then, and not picking on any ladies before I say this, but the thing is this lady said over here, well, they're breaking the rule. Well, helping the kid's one thing, but doing the work for the kid is another rule. So now let's write another rule so somebody can interpret that. And it just keeps going on. And the one year I was on the fair board, telling a little story out of school, but I respect county council and the kids. The kids need to run their county council. They need adult supervision, but the kids need to make the decisions, not a few parents making the decisions for the kids. And the problem is that one morning at 6 o'clock out there on a Saturday morning, we've had 3 nights of some kind of a disagreement. One girl walks up to me, she said, "Mr. Bain, can we talk to you?" "Sure." "No, let's go outside." And I said, "Oh boy, here we go. There's going to be a whole line of parents." There's 4 kids standing out there. And they said, "Please don't quit the fair board. If we could leave our parents home, the fair would be a whole lot more fun." The smartest ones I met all
We had a perfect example of that at our T-ball this summer in Cortez. The kids were playing fine, and the parents were outside the dugout pounding each other.
Together.
Yeah, so I think you're right. I think the parents need to figure out to be parents and not be. Now I don't know how we get that done, but I'm.
Quick question. One of the questions that was asked to me actually by a fair board member is how this advisory committee actually works with the fair board, because the fair board is a separate entity from extension. And so that was one of their big questions. And like Mr. Baines was just saying, rules implemented at our fair, that is set by the fair board, not by the 4-H. So when we're talking about the advisory committee, I think that you guys need to keep in mind in putting into some sort of a
But in the operation of the MOU between the fair board and the extension office, hopefully it's going in that MOU when you guys come to agreement on it. When the fair board and the extension office come to agreement on that MOU, there's going to be some specific language about what the fair board implements and whether it has to pass muster through the extension office, or it has to be more than just their lone sole decision, I would think. I would think there would have to be some kind of mutual agreement with how the fair board is running their fair business as it correlates to the extension office. And I think that's been missing. I think you're right. They've been kind of a standalone. We'll run our own show and do it however we want to do it, and I don't think that's necessarily the way it should remain.
Well, when I asked the question, what's the guidelines here, I think, correct me, because I'm usually wrong, but the advisory board is the liaison between CSU, the commissioners, and the fair board.
No, the extension office.
Or the extension office, but the thing is here's all of the rules, and here's each group should play by these, and we're the ones, if we're on the board, that can help make suggestions or correlate a smooth transition in between here, but it isn't the responsibility of, because we have no authority. But the thing is right now, the biggest problem I see is nobody's dealing with the facts here. It's always, I heard this, I seen this, or proactive has been the problem. After the problem happened, instead of it could happen, and it did, is, oh, we've got to fix this now.
I think that's where the extension office, it behooves the extension office to be directly involved in that fair board and their meetings and what they're doing in their
Well,
meetings.
Jan was used to come to all of our fair board meetings in
That's
the
what I'm
past.
saying. I'm saying there's gonna be a whole lot of restructuring here of how things are conducted and operate from this point forward. So,
And Mother Superior here was good. If we had a problem in the meeting, if we didn't have the correct answer, she got it for us the next day.
sounds like a good deal to me.
She picked on me about the whole fair board.
You needed picking.
Already made that.
Well, I think we need to make some recommendations. Are you commissioners in agreement that there should be 7?
I think that's
No more than
that's
that.
a good number to start out with. So do we need a motion to appoint and then give them their term?
Well, we've got to shave off 2
Yeah.
from the,
From the list that we have.
What I gave the commissioners too is in order, because this is all happening at the same time, the recommendation was to go for a 1-year term, a 2-year term, a 3-year term, a 1-year term, a 2-year term, a 3-year term, so that you don't have everybody for a 3-year term and then everybody gets lost at the same time. So they'll be alternating the length of service as they appoint. So that it'll be, you don't have the whole
Staggered.
board.
Staggered.
Yeah, exactly.
What is the term of the 4-H council president? Is it
It's a 1
from
year.
January 1 to December 31?
So it will change
Like that?
every year.
okay, we're in.
We elect in October.
Okay.
For each year is October to September 30.
Okay.
October 1st.
So the 4-H council president would basically just, whoever that is
Will
a
always,
member.
yeah, right.
And that's the one person you can't shave off. According to our resolution, at least. She's on, whether you like it or not.
Mr.
The rest of them,
Bain-
you have to knock 2 of them off.
Mr. Bain had a question.
You have the county website, I guess I'll call it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any reason after this advisory board meeting that Melissa can put it on there that here's what was discussed at the meeting and it goes out to everybody, and then if somebody has a question or concern, they can either come to the appropriate extension office or the advisory board or you guys, and it helps head off problems?
It'll be a week, but yes, it'll be up there.
Be a week after their meeting?
Oh, your meetings,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Their meeting.
Yeah, you're talking about your meetings as the advisory, right?
As an advisory.
Right, right. Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
They could go up right.
Yeah, you could put those up.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion. I would move that Eleanor Cool, Linda Odell, David Temple, Don Bain, Jan Sennen, and Ed Rice, and the 4-H Council President be placed on the advisory board.
And part of it, you're gonna have to choose those terms. Who gets
We
the
will.
1 year, 2? Okay.
Can we do that after we get them?
Can you say them again, please?
Eleanor Cool, Linda Odell, David Temple, Don Bain, Jan Senham, Ed Rice, and the 4-H Council President.
I'll go along with that. I'll second.
Motion and second to approve those above names. The commissioner tells us to announce all those in favor.
Aye.
Aye. No. What do you two think on the terms?
I'm still working on that.
Were there others that applied beside these 7?
Yes, there were. Well, there were others that were on the board that are not here. And there were other applications, but neither of them are present. Let's see. Okay. You got any?
I'm just gonna suggest the order that you got them on there. Take the first three, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and then the next three, 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year, and then the 4-H councils in 1 year.
I was thinking of that a little bit different. I was thinking of the council president is always a 1-year term. Eleanor a 1-year term, and David Temple a 1-year term. Linda Odell a 2-year term. Ed Rice a 2-year term. Jan and Don 3-year terms.
I wouldn't argue with that.
Okay. So I need to put that in motion. I would move that the terms of 1 year sitting on this advisory council, 1 year be to Eleanor Toole, David Temple, and our 4-H council president. 2-year term to Linda Odell, Ed Rice, and 3-year terms to Jan Simmon and Don Bain.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve the terms as Commissioner Till presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioners, are you in agreement about what Jan was talking about? Let's have if you have a meeting at least once a month, and I believe that we need a report. We need to have somebody come in as a spokesman, or all of you, whoever wants, and give us a report
on how you're progressing with some of the
And-
issues you're going to deal with.
I think that needs to be their decision, but I'm in favor of doing so to start with, so we can get to work and get something done by fair time this next year. I'm hoping that we've got the MOU, we've got the advisory board in place, we got it. Everybody's doing their job, so we know what the jobs are.
All of those MOUs existed when I was there.
Pardon?
All those MOUs existed when I was there.
I know it. We saw our first one here about 2 weeks ago. We didn't even know it was there.
It does say on here they have a meeting, and then they will have their members for that board to choose a president.
Right.
All those magical
organizational meeting.
So then the president can decide how they.
I think that the suggestion that I was talking about too many rules for the children, maybe let's not make too many rules for the advisory board. Let's just throw them out there and see what they dig up.
The county commissioner could come to the meeting.
Let us know when you're having it.
Try to do that.
You could alternate.
Yeah, let us know when they are, when you're deciding.
That way you're getting your written report and input too.
First-hand information and input. It would please the commissioners to know when you decide to hold your meeting.
Oh, you had
This document on the screen, this is from Steamboat Springs?
No, this is
Or
new.
from-
We just
Oh, this
adopted
is,
it.
okay, because it's saying advisory committee, and I'm hearing board, so
Yeah, I
to
guess
me,
we
there's.
probably got our terminology
Yeah,
down correctly.
board to me represents maybe more fiscal responsibility or something.
We're
I
gonna
don't
call
know.
it the advisory committee.
Okay.
Okay?
This is
Okay.
new. This
Oh, and
just
this is new, okay.
as of I think last week or 2 weeks ago, pretty
I
recently.
think it was signed last week.
I would think you would want to be on this board because you
Committee.
do have a responsibility of trying to fix what we're talking about.
Yes. But I just thought I'd clarify, committee or board.
We will notify Mr. Rice, Mr. Temple, and Ms. Odell that they've been appointed to that board. We'll let
Okay.
them know.
I'll write all those letters, and I think, I don't know if the easiest thing is, if you guys could give your emails, do all of you have emails? If you could give those to
On the current board, is there like a chair, or vice chair? Is there any structure like that?
Doesn't have any organization, thanks to
How about, you said, why don't we just let you guys meet and you guys come up with
Okay.
the,
But I will email you letters, and I'll also email everybody this resolution so that they can have.
where did you guys meet when you met?
In the extension office last year. Like sometime breakfast when the provost from CSU was here. We had a breakfast meeting at Benny's, not Denny's, but Benny's. Because I distinctly remember I was recuperating from knee surgery, and my son had to take me to this meeting, and we were at Benny's. So we've met at other places.
So
Need to.
the courthouse revamping, is the extension office staying in the basement where it currently is?
Not exactly.
For the present, yes.
For the next 6
For the
months.
future, probably not.
And this room is always available
Yeah.
when there's not a meeting going on. Just- All right. Any questions from you guys, from the commissioners?
Just a comment. To get this ball rolling, can we set a date? And you want us to meet and just set a day, or can we meet with Melissa?
You're fine.
Because if we're gonna do this, let's do it.
You're right.
It's be at the same time each month, it just get it done, everybody knows.
Pick the day that most of your committee members can meet.
I don't care if it's 7 in the morning and 7 at night, we can home at midnight, let's just get something done.
Are you thinking that we need to do that? Or
Well, I mean, somebody has to take the initiative to start the ball rolling, to give it a shot. So I would like to see, personally, 7 o'clock in the morning meeting's better time for me than night, simply because my night vision driving to Pleasant View isn't the best, but that's a selfish reason. I'll meet whenever, but I'd like to get, if we're gonna do it, let's do it.
Well, let's set a date, whatever day. I think most everybody's free at 8 o'clock in the morning. I mean, you do it with fair board meetings and everything else, it's this date every month unless there's.
why don't we set the first date, and then we'll let you guys as you get together as a committee and try to come up with the.
If there's a better time.
Yeah.
One thing you might need to consider for the youth on that, I mean, if she were in school, she may have.
What time does school start?
Actually,
She's homeschooled.
And she has a horse.
Oh.
So that's.
She'd love the 7 o'clock because she gets out of milking goats.
Yeah, she's
But
7 o'clock.
in the future, that's something to think about,
Right.
because we will be having.
We may not always have that same option.
Flexibility.
We'll let the commissioner set the first one and then we'll see how it works out for everybody.
How about that the last week of November? And
Right in here.
yeah. Is that a holiday?
What day do you like? Monday,
it's
Tuesday,
CCI.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or
Monday, Wednesday,
Monday, Wednesday?
Friday.
Say what you want.
What works best? Yeah.
Well, my week's like taken up, so like that Monday we have we don't have our forest meeting that Monday. But like Wednesdays I have youth group and Cody Club, and then Thursdays I have horsemanship. I mean, I can do it in the morning. Yes.
So are Tuesdays and Fridays better?
Yeah. So like it just depends. Tuesday, Monday, or Wednesday.
If we can,
Well,
another thing, I don't think these meetings need to drag on for hours and hours. We should be able to do our business in an hour's time. And if we need to set more meetings, that's my personal opinion. I can do 7 in the morning on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I have a standing commitment that starts at 8 o'clock sharp both days.
why don't we have the first meeting the 21st day of November at 7 a.m.?
Next week.
You want to get the ball
Did you say
rolling.
the 21st?
Yep.
In the extension office or?
Jan, would that work for you?
If I can leave by
Well, I think
Bye.
so. Tuesdays were good.
Why don't we do it on, how about Monday?
Monday's fine. Monday?
Monday the 20th is great.
Because the first meeting might go over an hour, because it's the first meeting.
So we gotta make sure everybody's got all the paperwork handed out.
And since that will be a commissioner, we would expect to report an hour later.
Well, one of you guys can give the report if you go.
Well, we expect one of the commissioners to be there so they can help lay the guidelines.
That's gonna
for
be a
us.
piece of pie on Monday the 20th at 7 o'clock. That's a piece of pie.
And it's
We don't have to be up here till
here.
9 o'clock.
Where's that meeting at?
Where do you want the meeting to be? Do you
Have the
want-
first one right here.
Let's go right here.
Okay,
We'll sit out there.
7 o'clock here.
Cause if you get off and go into the restaurant and all, pretty soon you lost 30
Yeah,
minutes
well, you
right
got
there.
people coming in and walking through
It's
and.
hard to hear and it's hard to concentrate.
If we get hungry, we'll just charge the bill or the telephone.
Yeah, do that, Don. Yeah, go ahead, because I'm not involved in that anymore. Just send that baby right up there.
So who's going to send the email out to the other people who are
I
not
will.
here? Okay.
I will this
Okay.
week.
And then since you'll have all the members there, you guys can all talk and decide when the next meeting should be if there's a better time.
And
because
tell them
you'll
it's
have
very
more input.
important for these people that we've asked to be on this board to be there. And I feel if they don't, if they don't show, I mean, we don't want no-shows on this deal. Right, we've had enough no-shows.
Well,
So
there's a lot of boards got bylaws written right in.
I know, if you
Again,
miss
we
3
don't need all the
meetings, you're done.
regulations. If you
Yeah.
miss 2 or 3, you're off the
Yeah.
island,
Yeah.
you know.
I think after the first few months, we'll be able to ask us and see how the attendance is as well,
Yeah,
too.
There's no point in putting these committees together if they don't meet and function and do what they send us a letter telling us they're interested in doing. So, okay,
All right.
all right.
I will be,
Is this building open at 7 a.m.?
it's
It is.
not.
We'll make sure it's
It will
open.
be.
I've got a key, we'll make sure it's open.
And do
We'll
you know
make
how
sure.
to operate that lift?
No, I'll piggyback it.
You can actually
Be a
maybe
sight.
come in the back door.
Yeah, but that's still to get up here.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Don't you still have a key, Tom?
I'm getting better. I've had
So
2
front door, we
knee
can go through the
surgery.
front door.
Maybe.
He has a key to operate the lift. Tom does.
Oh, okay.
All right. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Yes, thank you for
Thanks
wanting
for
to make
showing
your community better, volunteering.
Yeah.
I'll go right into county attorney report.
I don't think I have really anything too significant legalese to report. I mean, I've been talking to everybody. Last week was very busy. The SO regarding the FPPA, which you heard about, the road department, the fleet department about putting those signs up in Summit Lake, the Dolores County attorney, which you heard about. I think that soon, we probably want to have an executive session to just talk about ongoing legal matters again. Maybe next week. I'm going to be gone for most of this week. We're going up to Fort Collins for the county attorney's conference.
Good.
Yeah.
Glad you take me.
Yeah, me too. They actually have 2 tracks. You can choose whether to do the general session or the Department of Human Services track. So I'm going to do the general session. He's going to do the Department of Human Services track.
Good.
That will be good.
I was half listening. You want an executive session next week? Is that what you said?
Either that or the following week.
For the next week, we're
gone
not.
that
We're
following
going.
week.
Be 2 more
It's
weeks.
either the
before we
20th or
meet
the
again.
4th.
There's something I'm waiting for back from the
Okay.
courts that, I don't know if I'll have it back next week. I might.
I'll just ask you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
James said he'd be in just a minute.
Okay.
Did you have anything to add to yours, Melissa? Actually, you know what I did not do is public comment.
Okay.
Would anybody like to do public comment?
I think there should be a report out from last week's executive session. I'm
Those are
assuming
personnel.
one after the San Canyon.
This was our personnel one. Trying to think if there's anything we can report out.
This meeting today's part of the result of it.
Must have been pretty important because I can't even remember it.
It's what we had with the personnel.
We had Andrea
extension.
and Mr. Hooten. And,
Oh, I remember it now.
yeah. I mean, it was internal matters, personnel matters that we spoke about at the executive session. Part of it was though just also talking about that maybe this would solve some of those problems, having an advisory committee, but obviously that was already decided. We did that resolution last week, but I think that's probably all we can report out from it.
Okay. Anybody else public comment? All right, we'll close the public comment and we will go to, I guess, County Commissioners report.
You know anything you want to know about packing and moving? That's all I've done all week. I haven't been into
Stay at home with
So if James doesn't show up, we're gonna have to close this meeting.
Well, I have
okay.
a couple of things here. Just to let you know, they started the installation of the solar at the new courthouse. It's not complete yet. Mike reported this morning that they had the wrong electrical something. I do have to get a hold of Empire Electric to see what forms they need with that stuff. The other piece, I've been playing telephone tag with Steve at the bank on the property purchase, and I don't know what the next step is. I'm assuming that a realtor will give us a contract or something. So, but I don't. He hasn't said anything. So, I'll. That's property out at Pleasant View, adjoining the county facility there. Other than that, I've been working on the budget and any other things that you would like for me to work on before Thursday. I mean, obviously all the new stuff we said is gone. 2% raise is gone. All salary increase is gone. Is that a place to start? And I will send an email to all of the people, every department that's in the general fund, telling them to bring their ideas. I'll tell them, hey, this is the deficit that we're looking at. Whatever ideas you have to help balance the budget. Otherwise, suggestions might be made for us, But the goal is to try to get the general fund balanced.
And if you could send those documents I'd asked you about the
Yes.
general fund.
And that's all that I have.
All right, we're ready for you, James.
Do you need this one?
Yeah, I have one.
Let's see that.
How you doing, James?
I'm doing good. I'm good.
This report. I'll revise what I just said and send it out to everybody and to the department heads.
Is this what you sent us the email, the grant?
Yes.
Take something for me.
Yes, I do. We can talk about this one, though. You haven't got this portion of it. This is just a simple grant request. We've supported the Forest Service in the past for these type of grant requests. It goes into the state of Colorado, and it's a request for an OHV grant. So basically, this money would be directed towards motorized trails. as we can read through the grant request, it includes, keeping one of the trail crews going that they've got, and also includes a dozer. So, anyway, they made the request from all the counties. I think we're so far the only county that hasn't come on board with it yet. But anyway, that is the request from the Forest Service.
Person James,
Yes.
talking about the Forest Service, were you able to meet with Derek and the travel management plan?
Yes.
On the Rico West Dolores?
Yes, I sure will. Sure did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to give you an update on that. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry I couldn't make that, but I'm glad you did.
Yeah, no problem. I think it went pretty well. It's about what we expected.
Not the same.
Yeah, nothing was really different from what we saw. I think the rubs are going to be between the motorized and non-motorized, especially on the Calico Trail and the Bear Creek Trail in particular.
They cut off a loop on Bear Creek, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
But are they still opening up that up by Lone Cone?
Yes, they're opening something up by Lone Cone. And on the Bear Creek Trail, they're also making a...
Motorized vehicle routes up there?
Yeah, it'd be kind of on the northeast side.
Northeast side, right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. And then, with regard to the Bear Creek Trail, I think they found kind of a reasonable solution on that. A lot of the non-motorized people want that lower section be non-motorized. So as a compromise, they've moved the motorized from that lower portion. They've still got a connection that can be made from that Gold Run Trail on across, and then you can still connect over to like Hillside Drive and all that. So there's still that connection there. But they have taken...
It's just more restricted. You only
It's
have
more
like one
restricted.
route.
Yeah, it is more than one route. They were analyzing the other route. The other route, even the motorized people are saying, maybe that's one we ought to, not worry about too much, because it is a really difficult. It's
Right.
only for the best riders, So that was one they didn't worry too much about. But they've lost it. The motorized special single track is the loser out of that whole deal. And the thing that was kind of a little concerning is that the non-motorized group keeps saying that they need more opportunities.
So who is that? Who is non-motorized?
Apparently, it is the backcountry hunters and anglers in particular. I take issue with that because really they have access everywhere up there. So it's really not about we haven't got enough opportunities. It's really about we need to limit other uses is what they want to do. Restrict other uses is what it comes down to. And so I mean there's the philosophical issues of whether or not they have enough or who's got enough, all this kind of stuff. But what I am saying is that the motorized people are not asking for any more trails up there. All they were asking is to keep what they had, and they still didn't keep what they had. They're down about 30 miles, roughly. However, the Forest Service, I think, is doing a pretty good job of trying to make some compromises in some of the sensitive areas, especially up by Calico. There's some issues with private landowners up there that the Forest Service, that's out of their power to really be able to take too strong of a stand on, although they're also considering 2477 themselves on some of those routes, because those are established historic routes. So that would be a real unique approach, yeah. We hope the Forest Service will follow through on that. Some of those are legitimate and real routes, so anyway, we'll see what will come out of that. But the town of Rico also did not want motorized coming down into town. On one side, it makes a lot of sense because what's happening, so Zane Odell's running cows. Up in Rico. So on the south side of town, there's that connection. I forget the name of that creek that goes up. But anyway, he's running cows there. So when a motorized vehicle comes down, basically it pushes the cows all the way out down to town. And then they're running around down on the highway and stuff. And so for him, it's, for the function of his outfit, it's really hard. However, there's an alternative over on the north side of town. And the downside to that is that it crosses multiple private in-holdings, a lot of those mining claims. And there again, the Forest Service says, yes, but that is a historic route. And if the town of Rico would be supportive of it, then I think, there's probably a good chance that the Forest Service would continue to push that. So, and that would provide better route, and actually that route kind of comes in where all those trails come together up there at the top of Calico. So it would be probably a more strategic connection anyway. So anyway, yeah.
That'll be interesting. Keep me apprised.
So what the Forest Service is saying is that they've taken away 30 miles of trail, but they don't feel like they've satisfied the non-motorized groups, and so they're saying that if we're seeing any motorized on the Calico, it's sure to be a lawsuit. So they're anticipating that already. We'll see what happens. Perhaps they've been able to placate everybody well enough, but it's just not looking that way at this point. So. Okay.
80% of that travel management's in Dolores County, not Montezuma. So
yeah,
we really have a small portion of that.
Yeah.
Dolores.
And I feel like Dolores County felt like they did a reasonable job of tackling, the stuff that they needed to tackle through it. Yeah, Julie did. She was, not real concerned about losing some of those trails up around Calico. Some of it was probably marginal anyway for motorized. As long as they're keeping, the main route through. Yeah, and that's kind of her position on it, fallback position. Which, it sort of seems like that would be the logical way to go on that, because there are probably other bigger fights out there.
Let's readdress the letter. Are you commissioners okay with?
Which letter is it?
Okay.
Colorado State Parks and Wildlife.
Yes, and you don't have this, Melissa.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
And there's a clean copy if the commissioners choose to sign.
Are you commissioners okay with the letter?
Yes.
Did you say what it's about?
Yeah, I think you did discuss it, but it probably got lost in all that. It's just a letter supporting a USFS grant request. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
It helps them get money to build trails.
Yeah, it's the same one they request it every year. So we're just re-upping it basically.
Yeah. I'll move that the letter to Tom Netza, who is with Colorado Parks and Wildlife, in support of the grant for good management crew and trail dozer funding request be approved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve a letter to the Colorado State Park and Wildlife OHV grants for good management crew and trail dozer funding for the United States Forest Service. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, go ahead, Jake.
Okay. So the next thing I've got is I had a call from the BLM today, and we were discussing the Flowdine allotment. And so what they've kind of tipped us off to is that we should request full participation in the 106 process. What we're anticipating, he couldn't give me any details on this specifically, but it sort of sounds like we've got some issues with getting our allotments back into play, directly stemming from resistance from SHPO. So, yeah, I know,
They
surprise
just keep
face.
showing up.
Yeah, I know.
All of a sudden, we've never heard of them, and now they're on everything we're doing.
Yeah.
Where did they come from?
Well, they've been here all along, but
What
but
brought them down here?
it appears that, well, they've been down here for forever. Of course, we're the hot spot, but it appears they just have a new philosophy within that agency. So, yeah, I mean, something along, I don't know what their philosophy is, but it appears to be different than we've experienced before. So, and the BLM is really getting worried about those allotments and what's going to happen. So, what they've asked us to do, and Melissa, we do have these. Okay, that's the correct one up there. They've asked us to make a request both to CANM as well as to Tres Rios to be involved as under Section 106 as the local agency consulting partner. So basically, what we're asking for is access to all their communications, all their video conferencing, all their conference calls, everything they do that involves SHPO. Just like we went up to that conference call the other day, is they think that we should be involved with all of it at this point. And maybe we should talk to Derek about this too. And we haven't seen the same issues from the Forest Service, but this...
They said it's coming.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they have. Yeah. So anyway, what I've done is prepared a letter both to Connie and to Marietta. And we don't necessarily have to have these signed and everything today, but I've got them prepared. They'll be in next week. We could give them to them next week. I've also, as the commissioners instructed me, to prepare a letter, just asking to have SHPO come down. And so I've kind of used that same letter format and kind of turned into a letter that really puts them on notice that we're a consulting agency and we're asking them to come down.
So I see where we put this about the Canyon of the Ancients. So that would be Sand Canyon and the Flodine. But then we're still leaving out Phil's World. Were they trying to stop that, or would that?
No, actually, we include the Tres Rios field office, all of the Tres Rios field office.
Oh, okay. So
yeah,
okay. I got
yeah,
you.
we covered everything in Montezuma. We've actually covered more than our county through that request. So
because that would be the fourth project SHPO's trying to shut down.
Yeah. So, it does merit some effort to get on the same page with those guys. I mean, if they have a new philosophy, I'd sure be curious to find out what it is and why this is a hang-up now. And, it seems like they got some explaining to do. I mean, why all the hang-ups now after all these years? Like somebody pointed out that Hydrax project out here by the...
Go in there and mow stuff down with a...
Holy cow, that thing, yeah.
They didn't care about any archaeological sites, they were doing that.
Well, they got the clearances on it, so I mean, they managed to accomplish something of that intensity, but a 2-foot wide path is a problem. It just doesn't. Something's off.
Something's off. Something's
Yeah.
up. Something's up.
Would the legislation that authorized the Canyon of the Ancients not override anything SHPO wanted to do?
Well, I mean, I think the feds are always probably going to override the state on that, when it comes down to it. But what that process is of figuring it out, because they definitely have been given some authority over it, and a lot of
They
us.
stymied the BLM out here at Phil's World.
Yeah, so I mean, it
absolutely stymied them.
I mean, that said, I mean, the letter of the law is what that proclamation says. So, but it appears that they seem to be able to use that proclamation to kind of support their position. So, I mean, given the monument was really kind of created for the purpose of cultural resource protection, it's kind of a sort of, it seems like they've kind of got the ace in their pocket for the moment. So, but I think they really do need to come down and visit with us and explain to us what's going on. This is unusual.
Show me.
Yeah,
So
and I think we need to show them too. Yeah.
Did you do a letter?
Yes, I did do a letter, and I don't know which is the other one, Melissa. That's Mrs. Clemenston's, and there's Mr. Turner's. Yes. Okay, and I'll pass this letter around to the commissioners.
Good job.
And just to kind of let the commissioners know before we move forward with it, yeah, I've been trying to get a hold of Connie all last week to find out if she had any momentum with SHPO. Because the word I heard was that she was having a meeting with them on Monday when we were down at Sand Canyon, which is why they couldn't be there. But I have not heard a word from either her or Marietta on where we're at with that. So my guess is they're going to fill us in next week when they come in. But, you know, again,
But she had sent it.
we're our own agency. Yes, so they have, yeah.
But she had sent a letter, I think it was to the commissioners, or maybe it was to you, that said that I will be in contact with Larry Don.
Mhm.
Yeah, I never did hear from her.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're our own agency, so we send our letter whenever we, you know, at the timing of our choosing. So.
I think the time is now. I mean, this is getting out of hand. I'll never forget listening to that conversation with the BLM when they said that we're going to follow a law that has been rescinded since 2000. And I can't even remember the number, but 1 or 2. So they're going to follow a law that's no longer a law. That's just crazy.
Makes a lot of sense, man.
Would you be willing to make a motion on this?
I would move that for the
Our date is
approval
wrong
and
on that too, so we just need to fix the date.
sending of a letter to Mr. Steve Turner of the State Historic Preservation Office, History of Colorado, stating our joining the Section 106 local agency consultation.
I'll second.
It's been a motion and a second to approve a letter to Mr. Steve Turner to the State Historic Preservation Office, Colorado, with the date changed from June 23rd, 2017 to November
Now let's backdate.
13th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good catch.
Yeah, I apologize about the dates here, guys. Copy paste is not always my best friend.
How can,
Gentlemen, do we want to take any action on the other letters on the same subject directly to the BLM, to Tres Rios, as well as to Canada?
106.
Yes.
Would that be to their benefit or ours for them to be notified of that?
Yes, I think it would be to all of our benefit to put them on notice for this. I think the main deal is they want to put, the BLM wants to put SHPO on notice of this, so. Okay, and so
Do we need a
there's.
motion for that, or is that?
Yeah, but you could do one motion that covers the letters, but yeah.
I move that copies of this same letter sent to Mr. Turner at the SHPO office. We will in turn send the same letters to Connie Clemenson at the BLM and Marietta Eaton at the Heritage Center, Canyon of the Ancients Heritage Center.
I'll second.
there's been a motion and a second to also send the letters to SHPO to Ms. Clemson, which is with the BLM, Tres Rios office in Montezuma and several other counties, as well as Marietta Eaton, which is the manager over Canyon of the Ancients. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there
Is there two of them?
No,
Yeah.
I think that.
Yeah, there should be two letters there,
Oh,
one to
okay.
Connie and one to Marietta.
Marietta.
Correct. Okay, then last thing I've got is that we're scheduling a Paz de Mesa Verde meeting, and that will be December 4th. And it should be from 6 to 8. We haven't got a location picked for that, but I just wanted to clear that with the commissioners, make sure that's a Monday, so make sure we didn't have anything going on that evening.
What date is that?
That's December 4th.
December 4th.
Okay, we'll go ahead and start noticing that then and get that set. Also,
Can you send a calendar reminder?
yes, I can do that, yes. Also want to let the commissioners know that, so I put in for a grant for the Valentine Foundation for the trail. They've been wanting to get engaged with this, and we'll hopefully can start this on kind of an annual basis with them. We put in originally for the LiDAR information that we thought we were going to need for the engineering. At this point, we don't know exactly where that LiDAR is going to be, but we've been successful in landing $15,000 from them. So, Melissa, you'll be watching for a check as it comes in. I just told them to make it out to Montezuma County, and the nice thing about this is that it's not got a lot of strings attached to it. So we can probably use this money to leverage, say we're looking like that 80-20. So that this amount of money should be able to help us leverage as much as maybe $75,000. So my thought is to kind of put it towards acquisition and for right of way or outright purchase for land if we need to do that. We've got a new state advocate for the trail. He's got some resources through the state, a lot of them we've heard about, but he's also had some private donors that have contacted him. And so at this point, I'd kind of like to talk with, Chuck Forth over at Onward and see if we can figure out how to get a 501c3 umbrella for this project. We could probably use some of this money as seed money for that and try to start, building up a war chest then for both trail construction as well as whatever acquisition we might need. So
This advocate, is it somebody different than the
yeah.
Valentine?
Well, yeah, that's just somebody different, yes. So he's at the state, and Chris Kamir was our old advocate. So he's moved on to something else, and so this guy will be replacing it. Where the connection is that we're finding out that a lot of the money that comes from, like, say, GoCo is going to have strings attached. So, for example, if you buy 160 acres with GoCo money, they're going to expect to have 160 acres at the end of the day. However, if we're using private donations, we may be able to buy the 160 acres. We could keep just what we need and put the rest of it back out on the market. So we have more flexibility with the private funds. So we'll try to set up, probably dual accounts and try to target, whichever fund seems to fit the best. So I'm kind of, really encouraged to hear, that's a pretty good start for on the private side of things. So we can also use it, however, to leverage, the state money. So.
Good job. That's good seed money. Thank you. Good job, Jane.
Well, hopefully we'll get more coming. They seem to be very interested in this project, but it was just a little hard, since we didn't have everyone wants to know what they're paying for. This was kind of one of those. Well,
you can't show them all.
I don't know yet. So. And I guess I did want to remind the commissioners too that we're having the meeting on ANS this coming Wednesday, and I think everybody's had the notice on that.
That's out of destination, right?
Correct. Yeah.
At 6 o'clock?
At 6 o'clock, yes. Yeah. And I'll be putting on a slideshow and just kind of go over the stuff that I've heard from the community, and from going out there and spending some time just looking the place over, and I think we've got a good start on a plan. The Forest Service seems a little bit apprehensive about some of it, but anyway, that is where they seem apprehensive about everything. So, yes, so, all we can do is really kind of be forthright, share what we've heard from the community, and I've got it all kind of sketched up that shows that. So things can stay on the table, things can fall off, but like I told the Forest Service, we need to at least kind of document what our community is saying and share that with you. So. Okay, I think that concludes everything I've got for the day.
Thank you, James. You must have wrote a lot of letters to your wife made of his courtner.
Not a lot of letters, but I tell you what, I had to buy a lot of monkfish. She worked in the seafood department, man, I got so sick. I had a whole freezer full of that stuff, I finally had to throw out.